the live stream. You know what time it is. It is your boy Genesis. It is currently 7:49 p.m. and today's date is the 12th of December 2024. Yes, y'all. Yes, y'all. It is almost the end of the year, and I'm back with another one titled The Legendary Update with Genesis, yours truly. I'm still trying to fix my mic, but we gotta go. Gotta go. Show got to go on. So I am back here. But with that being said, you guys are the best. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you for being around. Thank you for subscribing. Thank you for smashing the like button. And what do we have today? What do we have today? All right. So we have the drone issue in New Jersey, New York. We also have Elon Musk becoming the world richest man in the world. So that's Bill Gates, Jeff Bezos, both of them combined, Elon Musk is worth more. Isn't that just wild? 10, 15 years ago, 10, 15 years ago, this guy was nowhere to be found amongst the richest guy alive. Now he is the richest man compared to Jeff Bezos and what's his name? Bill Gates. Combined, he's worth more. Shout out to Ellie. Ellie, God bless you for tuning in, man. Um, Thank you, Ellie, one more time. Okay. So, with that being said, we're gonna work. We're gonna work. We're gonna work. We're gonna work. We're gonna work our way up. That's what we're gonna do. I'm gonna work, put in the work, work our way up. Ellie, I sent you a message on Discord. Maybe you're not on Discord anymore. I'm not sure, but I did send you a message on Discord. Let me know how I can reach you because we like you're the moderator on this channel. I get it, but we need to do more. Okay, we need to do more. I sent you a message on Discord, so let me know. You spoke about X and starting a, I don't know, following on X or whatever. You got to put me through that, but let me know how that works, bro. If you do know how it works, because I know you're always on X, and you told me some, you gave me some updates on X, but let me know. Let me know, guys. Okay. With that being said, let the show begin. Okay. Here we go. Elon Musk, like I mentioned, richer than Bezos and Gates combined. Well, his mom has something to say. Let's listen.
All right, it's one thing to say that Elon Musk is rich or that he's the richest human being on the planet or the richest human being that ever got close to the planet, even in inflation-adjusted terms. Rockefeller, of course, goes back as sort of the iconic name as the richest inflation-adjusted business guys of all time. Elon Musk just eclipsed him. He's worth more than $400 billion. You kind of lose count after about 200 billion, but that is what he has gained literally over roughly the last year or so. His mom joins us right now. She's very accomplished in her own right, I might point out. She raised this guy, after all. She's one of the world's most successful models as well, a darn good author. A Woman Makes a Plan, her latest. Maye Musk, the mom of Elon Musk, kind enough to join us. Maye, good to have you back.
Hello, lovely to be back.
Did you see this when he was a kid, that someday he would be the world's richest human being?
Well, I think that wasn't his goal. His goal was just to do good things. And he saw so many opportunities where he could do good things. And fortunately, it's been appreciated now.
No doubt about that. And one of the things I love about you when I read the background, you kind of let your kids be your kids. I mean, you'd watch them carefully, but you wouldn't get in the way. That's a delicate balance for a parent. It's obviously paid off here and with your other fine offspring. But let me get your take on how your son has evolved a little bit now close to Donald Trump. I know you have been close to Donald Trump. I see you popping up at Mar-a-Lago. What's going on there? What do you make of this relationship?
Well, first of all, I'm meeting many of the Trump family. Everyone is delightful, kind, sweet, generous, and interesting, and soft-spoken, which is interesting because, you know, as politicians, you can talk louder. And I met Melania. I'm looking forward to spending more time with her too. And then I have her book, you know, I've got her book.
There you go. So your kindred model spirits there too. So let me get, you know, there are a lot of people who are wondering, all right, Donald Trump is coming back. Your son is going to be a key advisor to him, working with Vivek Ramaswamy to even pair, you know, trillions in spending. A lot of other folks are saying, wait a minute, Elon is after something more than the country's good. He's going to try to rig this so anything he does will benefit his businesses. What do you think when you hear that stuff?
I think I've been hearing that from the legacy media, or what I call the dishonest media, for 15 years. So obviously nobody's listening, otherwise he wouldn't be doing this well.
So he has popped up early on in the campaign. I know there was a time where he and Donald Trump were not that close. It's not that they were arguing with each other. They just weren't on the same page. And at what point in the campaign, May, did you or your son recognize, all right, there's something here. There's something with Donald Trump that we have to pay attention to and should pay attention to?
Well, I don't know when Elon made the change, but I must say when the Twitter files came out and we found that the FBI was paying millions to Twitter to remove Republicans from this site, which we didn't realize was a Democratic site, I just didn't like the dishonesty. I don't want somebody to take my tax dollars and give it to Twitter to remove people who have a different opinion. And so it's a gradual change when you're a Democrat to become Republican. It's really hard, and I would encourage Democrats to take a chance, and they will be happier.
You know, growing up, I know you were pretty apolitical, as was your son, until really we only learned in the last couple of years the degree and the passion he had on political events, and not just on the right or left. Of course, the left loved him a little more than a few years ago with, you know, all of what he was doing with solar power, what he was doing with, you know, these EVs that he leads the world by a country mile. So do you think that changed him, the experience of going, or appearing to go, from the left to the right, that just alienated him among, you can say the legacy media, you can say, but that changed everything because he was a rock star with that side of the aisle?
Yes, but Biden in the White House just kept on either ignoring or investigating or suing Elon and his companies. And that made me very angry because he's just trying to do good and they're doing everything to put obstacles in his way. And I just don't know how. I mean, I was getting angry. I was so angry before the election. And now I just feel like the whole world has opened up for not only America, but definitely for the world. There's so much more happiness.
Well, I do like the way you take all this and the criticism in stride. You don't let it stick to you one way or the other. You might be surprised, May, that some viewers think I'm overweight, as if. But anyway, I'm curious how you handle the attention that you're getting now. Forget about your son, but you're the mom. You're very successful in your own right, and then some. But there's a lot of attention on him, by extension, you. That can cut both ways, can it?
Yes, you know, the weird thing is I get invited to many events and friends' parties and all that, and I say I don't want to go because the Democrats are so angry and malicious online. I think I blocked about 1,000 on Instagram.
Really?
I mean, but they had 0 followers, 0 posts. So I guess they were bots but they were very hateful.
Elon's mom is a troll. She's a straight up troll. She said they were bots because they had no followers.
Wait a minute, you deliberately, when you got this, you just said, I'm cutting you off. I'm not even going to let any of your stuff get to me.
Oh, no, yeah, no, I'm not going to let, we're winners. You know, okay. We are winning. We have won. And so I can't let angry, malicious people upset me.
So you don't even give them the chance. They're blocked in your world, right?
Yes, but when I go to social functions, I find everybody is so friendly and happy. And I'm saying, what went wrong? I think there were many Democrats that were secretly voting for Trump.
Well, maybe they're secretly psyched to see you. You're an iconic global figure. You're recognized all over the world. So maybe they're just like in awe of you.
Yeah, well, everything's working well for me. I'm giving talks and modeling all around the world. And I'm only 76, so I have a lot ahead for me.
Absolutely. Well, I get that too. The fame thing, it's like people just, want me to pay for their meals at Olive Garden or whatever. But let me step back, Maye, and get your sense of where you think the world goes right now, because we've been at each other's throats on the left and the right. And there's a fear that Donald Trump comes to power and he remembers all of these things that you clearly remember, and all the slights and all the agitation and all the, the weaponization stuff, that there's a fear he is going to return the favor in spades and be on a retribution tour. What do you think of that when you hear that?
I think Trump just wants everything to be honest and open so that you know where your tax dollars are going. He's not going to be mean to people. I mean, when I see him, he just seems happy that he can make changes that will improve the life of Americans, and also connecting with the rest of the world, which I think is wonderful. And I think we're all going to be happier.
Your son is at Mar-a-Lago a lot. I don't know whether he's got his own place there now, but what do you make of that? He seems to be with him all the time.
They do get along well. And the funny thing is, at the Thanksgiving dinner, Barron and Elon were talking planets. He's 18 years old. They were discussing all the different planets and why Mars is the best place to start a new civilization. And I was very impressed with him too. So I think Trump just likes someone he can completely trust, who doesn't have any alternative motives.
Sure. Well, it's always an honor to have you, Maye. Maye Musk, the mother of Elon Musk, but sometimes that's not fair to say she's the mom of Elon Musk. Very successful, one of the world's most successful models of any age. The book, A Woman Makes a Plan. She, like Melania Trump, connecting with a book that became a runaway bestseller, as is Melania's right now.
Just think about it, man. Elon Musk, his mom, a doctor, and also she is a model and an author. And Melania is an author, so they're kindred spirits, according to that guy. And also, Elon Musk and Barron talking about the best or the most habitable planets. And they're like, I think Mars would be the most habitable planet. First of all, man, just work hard, bro. Work as hard as you can so your kids can have conversations like that. Because, baby, on to the next.
Our political experts are joining me right now for some serious analysis. And Nia Malika Henderson, there's another part of this Time Magazine interview with Trump. I want to get your reaction to this. Let me put it up on the screen. The president-elect is moving the goalposts on some of his pledges, like lowering the price of groceries. It's hard to bring things down once they're up, Trump says. It's very hard. And in addition to repeatedly saying he would bring prices down when he was out there on the campaign trail, listen to what he was saying just last week. Listen to this.
We're going to do things that a lot of people thought. We're going to drill, baby, drill. We're going to get your prices down. I started using the word, the groceries. When you buy apples, when you buy bacon, when you buy eggs, they would double and triple the price over a short period of time. And I won an election based on that. We're going to bring those prices way down.
So why do you think Trump is now backing away from that plan?
It's unclear. clear. I mean, one of the things that's clear is he never really had a plan to actually bring down grocery prices, right? He thinks that tariffs are a magical solution to bringing down the cost of everything. They'll even pay for your daycare, apparently, if you have tariffs. Of course, tariffs are inflationary, so that wouldn't work. Even when he talks about expanding oil production in terms of lowering prices, there are record high of oil production currently, so that doesn't seem to work either. But it is interesting that in this interview, he is suddenly, you know, sort of in reality in many ways, because it is very, very hard to bring down prices once they go up. We'll see what his voters think, and we'll see in 100 days or so what the price of eggs and milk is at the grocery store and what voters think.
Sure, Michael Singleton is with us. Sure, Michael, was Trump being honest with the American people when he said he would bring grocery prices down?
I mean, I think he was honest in terms of wanting to bring grocery prices down, Wolf. But if you look at the data that just came out, the CPI, Consumer Price Index, rose around 2.3%. And so there are some indications across the economy, and a lot of economists appear to agree, there's general consensus here, that the strategies that were put in place maybe 60 days ago, or let's say the third quarter, right? We're in the last quarter of this year, haven't necessarily yielded the results that the Fed chair would have hoped for. And so my question becomes, what type of economy will the president-elect be walking into once he's ultimately sworn in, and what strategies will Republicans attempt to put in play to do what the president argued he would do for several months, which is to bring down that price and cost of living for the American people?
Let me get Kate Bedingfield into this conversation. Do you see an opening, Kate, for Democrats right now, now that Trump is seemingly backing away from his promise, his pledge to bring prices down?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, the President Trump is going to learn or relearn, I guess, that it is much more challenging to be president in many ways than it is to campaign for president. And I think the Democrats will have a big opportunity here because the reality is the President of the United States only has limited influence over fiscal policy in this country and limited impact on how much something at the grocery store costs. There are many, many other factors that go into determining what the cost of eggs is. You know, I think Democrats are going to have an opportunity here to lay this at the feet of Donald Trump once he's president. You know, any domestic policy that he puts forward, Democrats will reasonably be able to paint as driving up prices, or at least not bringing prices down, if that is in fact what we see happening here. And it's clear that he is recognizing that a little bit as he's kind of backing off a little bit rhetorically. So yes, they will absolutely have an opening here.
It's interesting on Capitol Hill, Nia Malika, Senate Republicans who express any concern are facing growing pressure from Trump-aligned forces. Here's one example from Mark Caputo of The Bulwark. Let me put it up on the screen. Shortly after Joni Ernst offered a chilling reception to Pete Hegseth's nomination to head the Department of Defense, she recognized she was in trouble politically with grassroots Republicans calling for her head. How do I make this go away, a flabbergasted Ernst said to an intermediary. And listen to what Senator Lisa Murkowski said about this pressure campaign against Senator Ernst earlier today. Listen to this.
My friend Joni Ernst, who is probably one of the more conservative, principled Republican leaders in the Senate right now, is being hung out to dry for not being good enough. And you're going to get primaried.
So what does this tell you about Trump, how Trump is likely to behave during this next term?
Yeah, I mean, he's going to call in the MAGA dogs. I mean, the MAGA mob. And remember, the MAGA mob are the folks who descended on the Capitol on January.
This is why they lost in like 2 months ago. Well, last month? Yeah, last month. This is why you lost. Because you keep saying the MAGA dogs, the MAGA watchdogs, the MAGA mob, all these types of languages. This is why you lost. And this is why you may lose in 2028.
January 6th and behaved in a very violent way. So if you're somebody like Joni Ernst, there is, of course, the threat of a primary challenge. She's up for re-election in 2026. But there's also a real threat of possible physical danger, right? I mean, given what we know about some of these forces in the MAGA movement, what they have done already. And Donald Trump certainly knows that he has this very vast array of folks out there who are willing to do almost anything to make sure sure that he gets his way, to make sure that he stays in power, and as well to make sure that Republicans toe the line. So listen, if you're Joni Ernst, you probably are a bit nervous about what it would mean if you stand up to Donald Trump. The MAGA dogs are going to be after you.
These Trump allies are not shy by any means. Republican Senator Shermichael Tom Tillis is warning that this pressure campaign on his colleagues risks backfiring on the Trump administration. Do you agree?
I don't agree with that. I mean, the president-elect received over 90% of Republican voters' support in this election. If voters in their states are calling them and saying, we expect that you support these individuals, that's their job. Those are the people who empowered them to represent them. And if they aren't going to support these individuals, at least have enough decency and respect for the president-elect to say, look, I'm not going to wait 2, 3, 4 weeks. I'm just not going to vote for this person. You don't have the support, Mr. President, choose someone else. But that's not what we're seeing here. So I understand the frustration among many Republicans, including allies of the president-elect. Make a determination on these things, Wolf, and stop playing games. You're either going to support some of these folks or you are not, but make it clear. Stop saying, I'm going to wait. I need another conversation. How many conversations do you need to make a decision?
Kate, do you foresee Republican senators standing up to Trump amid this very immense pressure campaign that's now underway, even on the most controversial cabinet nominees?
Past precedent would suggest no. And I think the math is very candidly in Donald Trump's favor here. I mean, he can lose 3 senators, so he can lose Murkowski, he can lose Collins, he could lose a 3rd and still get his nominees across the finish line. And a lot of the votes he will need are from Republican senators who need the MAGA base in their states. So, I think the reality is that this will be very challenging for some of these senators to stand up to this really muscular MAGA campaign. And I think what we saw from Senator Ernst around King Hegseth is the perfect illustration of that.
All right, guys, thank you very, very much.
Thank you for tuning into the live stream. You know what time it is. It is your boy Genesis. Okay, with that being said, you've heard them. You've heard what they said. This is the types of languages that keeps the Democratic Party down, in my opinion. It's like, what are you talking about? You're talking about MAGA dogs, MAGA mob. This is why you lost. And you remember they were calling this guy Hitler. They were calling this guy names. Now they're saying he is, what's that guy's name? The guy from Syria. It's like, what are you guys doing? Relax. Relax, bro.
We have breaking news into CNN. A new DOJ watchdog report has just been released on the January 6th riot at the Capitol, and this finds that there were no undercover FBI employees at the Capitol during the riot.
This finding runs directly counter to speculation from allies of President-elect Donald Trump, who for years have suggested the violence that day was provoked by federal agents. CNN's Evan Perez joins us now, along with CNN senior law enforcement analyst and former FBI deputy director.
This right here is the longest. Yeah, shout out to Seen No More. Seen No More. Assad. They're comparing this guy to Assad right now. They're comparing Trump to Assad. Like, facts. Now, think about this. This happened in January 2021. This is about to be January 2025. They have been running the same story from 21, 22, 23, 24, now 25 coming up. For 5 years, they've been running J6, J6, January 6, J6ers. J6ers do this. Judge. For 5 years, man. Come on. You guys don't have any other news to talk about? J6 every goddamn day? Hell no.
Andrew McCabe. Evan, first to you, what does this report outline specifically?
Well, the most important finding that is one that you just outlined, which is that this claim that you've had from Republicans in Congress, allies of Donald Trump, who have claimed that the FBI had agents essentially undercover who helped instigate the riot, that there's video that seems to suggest, in their view, that either people who were being paid by the FBI were essentially helping to stage the insurrection that happened on January 6th. And this report flatly says that that did not happen. And of course, the FBI has been pushing back on this for the last few years, but that hasn't really satisfied members of Congress. And it's frankly one of the reasons why they had a beef with Chris Wray and why Chris Wray is no longer going to be FBI director. They believed that there was something to this conspiracy that's been running around. And what we do find, though, is that the Inspector General found that there were 26 members of these extremist groups that did attend the Stop the Steal rally, 26 of them who were being paid as informants for the FBI. Now, these are members of the Proud Boys, the Three Percenters, other groups that were here that day. And what we learned from this report is that 26 of them had been specifically told by the FBI, send us any information on possible violence and so on. And according to the Inspector General, 3 of those 26 actually did enter the Capitol. The others, did not enter. There's also a number of informants who were not specifically tasked by the FBI to provide that information, but they came anyway. They were supporters of Donald Trump, and so they came, and some of them entered the Capitol. So the important part of this is that for once and for all, the Inspector General who investigated this, has spent the last 3.5 years investigating this, has now said that this did not happen, that the FBI did not have paid employees, undercover employees, and did not instigate this riot. Now, another important finding that I should add, the FBI, obviously was in charge of gathering the intelligence before the riot, and one of the criticisms has been why they didn't do more. And according to the Inspector General, they did not ask all of their field offices to send in and to ask their informants to send in intelligence on this. And that was a failure. And they also provided bad information to Congress saying that they had done so. So that's an important thing that I think the FBI really is going to try to fix going forward, because obviously January 6th was a bit of an intelligence failure. We all know that. Because it happened, and law enforcement did not stop that violence before it happened.
Yeah, and Andy, we'll talk about the intel sharing here in a minute, but first, just your reaction to this report, but also that bit of information that no doubt some Trump allies or those who are sympathetic to January 6thers will seize on, which is that you did have these paid informants who were there, 3 specifically tasked by the FBI to report on specific domestic terrorism case subjects who may be going to the rally that day, one of whom entered the Capitol.
Sure. So I have to say, overall, I'm not surprised by those conclusions in any way. If you've been following this story since January 6th, we knew through the discovery that came out in many of the criminal cases against January 6 participants that the FBI had intelligence from some informants. They had informants who traveled on their own by their own choice to participate in the rally, some of whom ended up on the Capitol, very few of whom ended up going inside. And the FBI had a very small number of informants who they directed to go and report on those activities. Now, it should be known, the FBI has many, many informants in the extremist communities around this country. That's part of running an intelligence, a capable intelligence collection program. You admonish them that they are not allowed to involve themselves in criminal activity, but you don't control them. They can go pretty much wherever they want lawfully as they choose to do so. So I'm not surprised by the conclusions here about that at all. I don't think it'll change the narratives of those people on the Hill who have constantly beaten this false drum about FBI informants starting the riot. I expect that if past is any indication of how they handle themselves, they'll just direct all their ire at the DOJ IG now and claim that person has been co-opted by Joe Biden or something. They're not going to back off this conspiracy theory. It's very helpful to them, but it is not based on fact.
And Andy, I'm curious to get your thoughts on the 2 sort of intelligence failures here. One, the Inspector General finding that the FBI didn't canvass all of its field offices for intelligence from informants who could have helped the Capitol Police and obviously other law enforcement agencies better prepare for what happened that day, but then also the communication from the FBI falsely telling Congress that they had done that. What do you make of that?
Yeah, so Boris, to me, this is the really more significant finding in the report. And it's something that many of us have been questioning since January 6th. How could, with this extraordinary informant base, how could the FBI not have known more? How could the FBI not have asked all of their informants whether or not they intended to plan on traveling and what information they had about the travel and participation of others? And so I think it's appropriate to call it out. If the failure was in the counterterrorism program as managed at headquarters is responsible for determining which major national level security events require that sort of precise intelligence collection in order to allow law enforcement to prepare their security measures. This was clearly one of those events. And the fact that they didn't issue that sort of a broad nationwide collection from all of their sources is really, there's no excuse for that. That's what the intelligence collection program exists to do, to collect that information and use it to inform decision makers as to how to protect the country, or in this case, the Capitol. So they were unable to do that adequately without having taken that step. The fact that they misrepresented to Congress that they had done it, it seems, just from my brief reading of the recommendations, there was a lot of confusion and disorganization around the preparation for this event. And I think that some executives thought it had actually happened. They were wrong. They didn't know that those calls had not been made and that collection hadn't been rounded up. So again, these were mistakes, not intentional acts. We're not trying to hang anybody out to dry here, but these are all areas in which the FBI really needs to focus and make sure they don't make those kind of mistakes in the future.
Yeah, they certainly do. And we'll see, Andy, and maybe you can quickly comment on this. As we're looking towards a new era at the FBI, do you expect that they will be taking the lessons learned from this and doing something with it? Do you have any concerns there?
Well, I'm confident that FBI people who do this work will double their efforts to make sure that it is done perfectly the next time and every time after that. I'm confident in them. But I am concerned about some of the comments that Kash Patel has made. If he is confirmed as FBI director, he's made a lot of comments about reducing the size of headquarters and getting rid of people at headquarters.
Reducing the size of headquarters. I mean, bro, if you're not efficient, someone should check you out and see if you're actually good with the amount that you're being allocated. You have all this money and you're still not efficient. Then the money has to be allocated somewhere else. That's why the Department of Government Efficiency is very important. And I'm glad, I am absolutely glad that was a great initiative by Vivek Ramaswamy and Elon Musk. Like, super great. Because if you're failing your audit, the Pentagon is failing audits. Department of Education, this is the Department of Education, guys, that you entrust your kid to, failing their audits for 3 times, 3 consecutive times. Pentagon, how many times? Multiple times. So it's like, you're not efficient and you're supposed to be the leaders, yet you're still not efficient. So somebody has to check them out and make sure that they're doing their job, especially with the money.
And sending them all out to the field. This is precisely the sort of mistake that can happen when no one in the organization has an adequate view of the entire threat picture, the entire country. And that's why the analytical capability and the investigative oversight was centralized in headquarters for these national security matters, not for criminal matters, but for national security matters in the aftermath of 9/11, because we realized this was not having that vision.
Oh, please. Oh, please. Now you want to bring 9/11. Okay, here we go. Thank you. He's going to pardon everybody that went down on J6. That's like for sure. He's already said it. At least he said it. Okay. At least he's saying, I am going to pardon everybody. Well, most people. Okay. Most people. However, we're going to look into the people that were doing harm to other people. If you were causing harm, then okay. But for the most part, look, these folks are getting pardoned. I can guarantee you that.
Luigi Mangione is fighting extradition to New York.
What sort of name is that, bro?
This is the prison where he's being held. It's the State Correctional Institution at Huntington, the oldest operating state prison in Pennsylvania. Mangione's cell looks much like the one you see here, according to a law enforcement source. His actual cell is 15 by 6 feet. A Department of Corrections spokesperson says,
shout out to Basil. Basil Music, you said Department of Government Efficiency should but be instituted by the biggest government contractors. Billions. Musk or Ramaswamy, who doesn't even deal in facts. When you say they don't deal in facts, what does that mean? When you say they don't deal in facts, what does that mean? I think shooting up a rocket to Mars space is pretty much dealing in facts. And Ramaswamy, of course, is into pharmaceutical. Okay. And if you have a business that you're into pharmaceuticals, you pretty much have dotted your I's and crossed your T's. Dean. Oh, man.
he's in a single cell and not in solitary confinement. He is not interacting with other inmates at this time. He has a bed, a sink, toilet, and a desk with a seat.
It's always interesting to see, a prison in your backyard that, frankly, most people wouldn't be able to pick out of a map or wouldn't know the name of. And now everyone's interested in the type of food he's eating, the cell block that he's in.
Meals at the facility are served 3 times a day, 6:15, 10:40, and supper at 5:15. Tonight on the menu, Mangione has a choice between chicken parmesan and a dish called pizza beans. The Department of Corrections says Mangione has taken his meals in his cell and is not interacting with other inmates, adding all inmates are afforded time outside their cells, even if they are a higher custody level. Mangione's case has received a great deal of national attention, so perhaps no surprise, he's already known to some inmates, some of whom shouted his name to media outlet News Nation. Free Luigi! That type of notoriety is also an added security concern at a correctional facility.
Any prison, state or federal, is a predatory environment, and there could be prisoners who are...
Luigi is now a celebrity in prison, bro. This man gunned down the United Healthcare CEO. Telling you, man, people are not happy with this insurance companies. How is he his hero? How is he a hero? Well, now he's a hero, guys. There ain't nothing nobody can say. He's a hero. I told you guys, you can do a bad thing for a good reason. And that's what happened to him. What he did was bad, but in his mind, he did it for a good reason. And this is why he has a lot of fans on Facebook, on TikTok, on X, on Instagram. And they're supporting him. They're supporting this guy. And according to the news, this guy has, I think he has raised over $30,000 for his lawyer fees and all. This is real life. This is happening in real life because guess what? Social media is the jury right now. Social media is the jury. If social media doesn't accept this as a crime, it's most likely not going to pass in the popular votes amongst the people, but like when he gets to court and the jury of his peers, I'm not even sure it's gonna be a jury of his peers. I mean, I don't know. This is my opinion, okay? But if this guy is given a jury of his peers, you best believe he isn't going to jail.
There for a long time, perhaps looking to get in the media, get some attention. So he's got to learn to enjoy his own company in a little cell.
Nico said, I donated to Luigi's fund. Find it and help. Oh, man. Y'all donating to Luigi's fund up here? Yo, wow, man. Nico, so tell me, why did you donate to Luigi's fund? Are you trying to pay for his lawyers, or are you trying to pay for bail? What are you trying to do? I'm not sure. He's been denied bail anyway because he's being charged for, I think, first-degree murder. So it's like he's never gonna go out on bail. That's like almost sure. And he has to be extradited from Pennsylvania to New York. Oh, Nico. Let me know why you donated to Luigi's fund, man.
With a desk, with a toilet, with a pen to be able to write, with a sink, because he will not be around prisoners, as I see it, for quite some time. The prison just can't risk it.
Huntington's inmates have made headlines before Mangione.
Why'd you do it?
Cosmo DiNardo, who was convicted of murdering 4 men and burying them on his parents' property, served part of his life sentence there. Nick Yaris also served time there. Yaris was wrongly convicted and sentenced to death in 1982 on rape and murder charges. His sentence overturned in 2003 due to DNA evidence. He says his time at Huntington are years he will never forget.
He decided to send me to Huntington Prison, the hardest prison in America at that time.
And what was he going to do before that?
I don't know, but he made sure I went to the place that they broke you.
Mangione's time there could be measured in weeks as prosecutors push to have him brought back to New York. And Aaron, the Department of Corrections also tells us that Mangione is allowed to have visitors there at the facility, but so far, the only person to visit him has been his attorney, and that was this afternoon. Aaron?
That's very interesting, to say the least. All right, thanks very much, Jason. So Tim Clemente is with us now, former FBI counterterror agent, criminologist Casey Jordan, and criminal defense attorney Mark O'Mara. So Mark, let's just start with where Jason finished. That point, he said that there's been one visitor, and it's been his lawyer. Now, we understand that Mangione is allowed visitors, right? So he could have had family, for example, come. That is allowed, but it has not happened. Only his lawyer as the only single person to visit. Does that signal anything to you, Mark?
Well, in one sense, yes, so the family is not behind him, but we also have to sort of temper that thought with the idea that when inmates are first in jail, I have my rules that I tell them, which is keep away from the family. I literally say, because don't forget, all phone calls are recorded, all visits are recorded, and that's just definite sort of devastating information that you give to the prosecution. Here's what I tell them. You can talk about kittens and butterflies and cake pops. Other than that, do not speak a word on the phone to anybody other than your attorneys, because it's devastating evidence. So that could be another reason why, but one would hope that the family is going to come show their support pretty soon.
Right. And obviously the lawyer interactions would be covered by privilege, right? So they wouldn't be able to listen to those. Okay, so Tim, we know Mangione's in a single cell. I was describing it 15 by 6, not interacting with other prisoners at this point, would have been able to, but is not doing so. And, you heard those prisoners yelling, "Free Luigi" there. Which is sort of an odd juxtaposition with the entire context of that prison. But he's already notorious, Tim, is the point. He's already notorious inside that prison. What does that mean? When they say security threat, what does that mean?
Well, it means he's at great risk, Aaron, because the fact that everybody knows who he is, and even those that are supporting him apparently are yelling out his name, but everyone in that prison, I'm sure, knows who he is. And there are going to be some people that want to be more famous than him. And so you got lifers and others doing time there, and he's a big target. I mean, a big target. He's a young guy, he's handsome, he's rich. And so he is not the average person in that prison.
Now they better keep him safe in there because he's way too young, first of all. Second of all, he hasn't even been charged and convicted. So it's like they better keep him safe.
And I can assure you that there are many, many prisoners that would like to bring him down a couple of notches, if not bring him all the way 6 feet under.
Which is, just incredible, the context here of what this reality now is. Casey, we haven't seen him since he was in court 2 days ago when he had that outburst and was yelling ostensibly still at the corporate system or the healthcare. It was unclear, but it was that sort of an outburst. But today the NYPD said that Mangione was never a client of United Healthcare. He didn't have any interaction with that company specifically. What does that say to you about the reason he did this or his motive?
Luigi Mangione most likely sees himself as a champion of the people, of the underdog. He's like a Cape Crusader, a Batman who is standing in for, all the people of Gotham as the evil healthcare insurer, ruins our lives. And I have no doubt that he has spent a great deal of time not only reading books about this, about the denied, delay, deposed, but really and truly thinking of what he could do to try to make a difference. And as he rabbit holes, for lack of a better verb, he really does think he has to do this. He talks about the bean counters and the parasites. He thinks he's one with the others. Now, that's interesting when you think about the fact that he has grown up in a life of incredible privilege and affluence. But the idea that he's never been insured by them and probably doesn't even know anyone specifically who has suffered because of problems with United Healthcare, he just picked them because they are the giant, the largest healthcare company in America that he wants to slay on behalf of the weak and the underdog. And these delusions of grandiosity, really do point to some deeper mental health issues that his lawyers are going to want to uncover.
And what could those be, Casey, specifically? Is there anything just that kind of stands out to you here so far?
Well, sure, we never diagnose, but I mean the outburst and the writings reminds me, and his affinity for Ted Kaczynski and his writings. I would not be surprised, since he just kind of had this huge behavioral shift 6 months ago that everyone agrees was massive, that he's decompensating. It's consistent with schizophrenia, which is very typically onset in the 20s of young men. So it will be interesting to see what happens when a psychiatrist is able to evaluate him.
And Mark, when does that happen? And obviously, is that from the perspective of his lawyer? How quickly do they want to do that? And is that something we would know about when it first happens?
Well, we should not know about it because it's supposed to be privileged communications. And whenever you bring in an expert to the jail, although everyone can see him go in, you're not supposed to. But it should happen yesterday. You want it to happen as close in time to the event, so that the psychiatrist who's going to come in is going to see some of that. Because as was just said, if he is suffering from a specific mental health disability, it is going to show better closer in time. So I would have my psychiatrist, forensic psychiatrist in there as soon as possible and get those forensics workup done, particularly to get to how his thought processing is. Because when you have this type of break, if that's where the defense is going, it takes a while to unravel, but you can see it from a psychiatric standpoint pretty quickly.
Right. And I know, Tim, as we heard his attorney tell us last night, right now he's clearly going to plead not guilty, and not by way of insanity, just not guilty. But they would need to open that path if this is as clear-cut of a case as Bryn is indicating that officials think it is at this point. Tim, so we've also found out something new today about what Mangione did, and that is, when he took a cab to that George Washington bus terminal, which is one of the biggest in the country, but it's up in the north, Bronx of New York City, and then he didn't get on a bus there. That he actually got back on a subway and went all the way back down to Penn Station. That would take an hour plus to do that, and this is after he had committed the murder, according to police. That's how he went to Philadelphia, and then they don't know from there how he got out to Western Pennsylvania and Altoona, where he was ultimately apprehended. What do those movements tell you, Tim?
It tells me planning, cunning, and concealment of his tracks. I mean, it is possible he went to 178th Street, bus depot and couldn't get a bus and decided to take something out of Penn Station. But it seems more like he's covering his tracks. I thought it was a brilliant move to ride on a bicycle through Midtown, especially in the morning when rush hour is about to begin.
Yeah.
And he's not going to get stuck in any traffic. And then taking public transportation and moving by cab up to the bus depot and then by subway down south. Very hard to track those movements. Very, very hard, because he's underground for half the time and in a bus with dozens of other people the rest of the time. So it's pretty clever. It's a good way to conceal your movements. And obviously it worked. It took a few days to figure out where he was.
Yet, people are saying this guy isn't smart. I'm telling you, this guy is smart. Absolutely smart. Now, what he did was bad. Definitely bad. If he's been convicted and actually proven that he did it, then okay, what he did was absolutely bad, and he should face justice. Okay, or justice should prevail. However, it's like they're still trying to match evidence. Okay, they're still trying to match the evidence, and now this guy is already popular. People are already saying "Free Luigi, free Luigi." People are already donating money to this guy. So that's life, man. That's life. That's straight up life. Man, 2024. What did we not see in 2024, man?
Our politics lead, President-elect Trump, has been named Time Magazine's 2024 Person of the Year. And he's making a lot of news as he prepares to return to power. In a wide-ranging interview with the magazine, when asked if he's...
This guy just never miss. He never miss, guys. This guy just never miss, man. Look at him on the magazine cover.
Spoken to Russian President Vladimir Putin since the election. Trump said, quote, "I can't tell you. It's just inappropriate," unquote. Trump did say he, quote, vehemently, unquote, disagreed with President Biden's decision to allow Ukraine to use American long-range missiles to strike inside Russia, saying, quote, "We're just escalating this war and making it worse," unquote. Asked about ending a different major conflict in the Middle East, Trump said, quote, "I think it's more complicated than the Russia-Ukraine, but I think it's easier to solve," unquote, though he didn't offer specifics on how he would end Israel's war against Hamas. When pressed if there was a scenario where he would allow Israel to annex the West Bank, as some extremists in the Netanyahu government have said they wanted to do, Trump said, quote, "I'm not saying that's a very likely scenario, but I want a long-lasting peace." He went on to say, quote, "You can do it two-state, but there are numerous ways it can be done," unquote. On the domestic front, when asked if he would use the U.S. military to help carry out the mass deportations of undocumented immigrants in the United States, Trump said, quote, "I'll only do what the law allows, but I will go up to the maximum level of what the law allows," unquote. Trump also signaled a willingness to getting rid of some vaccinations, if so recommended by his pick to lead the Department of Health and Human Services, Robert F. Kennedy Jr. Getting rid of those vaccines, of course, would be opposed by every major credible scientific organization, and they say it will cost lives. Trump says, quote, "It could if I think it's dangerous, if I think they are not beneficial, but I don't think it's going to be very controversial in the end," unquote. It's pretty controversial right now. Asked if he would commit to making sure the Food and Drug Administration does not take away the access of women to abortion pills, Trump said, quote, "That would be my commitment. Yeah, it's always been my commitment," unquote. Here now to discuss, New York Times senior political correspondent, CNN analyst, Pulitzer Prize winning Maggie Haberman. Maggie, good to see you.
Thanks for having me.
How are you? So, first of all, this is the second time he's been Person of the Year. You and I are old enough to remember when he coveted it so much, he had a fake, there it is, that's the fake one, the fake Time Man of the Year cover made up of himself and hung in at least 5 of his different resorts. No need to fake it now. No need to fake the funk. He's got 2 of his own. How important is this for him, this achievement, and what can you tell us about his mindset from this interview as he gets ready to re-enter the White House?
Sure, a couple of things. It's hugely important to him, and he has all of these cultural touchstones that are sort of trapped in the 80s, right? And an era
Time magazine made up of himself and hung.
Now, Why do you guys think he had to fake the Time Person of the Year magazine? Why do you think he had to fake it? Is it fake it till you make it or what? Why did he had to fake it? Put it in the chat. Let me know. Why did he have to fake it?
In at least 5 of his different resorts. No need to fake it now. No need to fake the funk. He's got 2 of his own. How important is this for him, this achievement? And what can you tell us about his mindset from this interview as he gets ready to re-enter the White House?
Sure, a couple of things. It's hugely important to him, and he has all of these cultural touchstones that are sort of trapped in the 80s, right? And an era
Time
when,
magazine,
right,
Time
and when
Life,
national magazines, you know, were huge. So this is very exciting for him. Going and ringing the bell at the stock exchange is very exciting for him, and that's now part.
These guys like to gaslight you. They like to gaslight you, man. They like to gaslight you. Now they're saying this guy has a mentality of the 80s. So what you're basically saying is everything he knows, everything he thinks about is based on the 80s. And that's why you lost. Because this guy was doing podcasts. This guy was doing podcasts. His podcast of the 80s? No, I don't think so.
Of the process of being named Person of the Year. So yeah, these are things that he's clearly reveling in, and you could see it when he was there today. In terms of his mindset, you know, he was actually a little more explicit on certain things than he has been. It's also just a reminder,
Blue
Jake,
Queen.
yes,
Blue Queen TV, you said because he's broke. Oh, man. I do not understand where you get your concept from. Because he's broke. What do you mean by broke? Like, I have 2 airplanes and I am now the president of the United States. And I own buildings around the world with my name smashed on it. Is that, yeah, that's broke. If that's the definition of broke, then okay, I'll take that. I want to be broke.
Than President Biden or Vice President Harris, but he actually has not been that accessible to mainstream media for a while.
Nope.
He did a lot of podcasts. He has not done a ton of interviews. He is starting to do a few more. So he talked about, medicine, abortion. He actually.
He's so happy with the NYSE. NYSCE. Look at him. He's so happy. Oh my God. He's been waiting to ring the bell at the New York Stock Exchange. He's been waiting. He's been waiting, man. He's been like, yo. Look at the satisfaction on his face. Like, I finally, I told y'all I was going to be here.
Also, just a reminder, Jake, yes, he certainly was much more accessible than President Biden or Vice President Harris, but he actually has not been that accessible to mainstream media for a while.
Nope.
He did a lot of podcasts. He has not done a ton of interviews. He is starting.
Okay, here we go. So Blue Queen TV says he's not owned any of those buildings. Well, you meant to say he doesn't own any of these buildings. His name is just on it. So he owns his name. He doesn't own the building. Okay. Does he own Mar-a-Lago though? Does he own Mar-a-Lago? Let me know in the chat. Big Queen TV, because I know you are, I guess, on the far left. But let me know. Does he own Mar-a-Lago too?
Do a few more. So he talked about, medicine, abortion. He actually was dodging answering questions about that. He talked about following the law, but going up to the maximum of what the law allows. And what we have seen is that his lawyers have repeatedly.
Okay, here we go. Chris Richardson says Musk owns him. Musk. Who is Musk? Musk that just started 2 seconds ago. I mean, Musk just came into the play, bro. Musk just came into the play. Musk is just now currently joining the gang. He's not owning a sitting president, but if you say so, okay.
Pressed for a maximalist interpretation of what the law would allow.
Right.
So what it tells me, and I think tells you, is that he is coming into D.C. really feeling quite powerful and feeling as if he can, test what he wants to test. I do think it's important.
This is what I truly believe, right? I believe people who talk like Roin Baruga, he's like, people like this don't believe that in any way, shape, or form in this lifetime, you're going to get some amount of money that you would say, oh, wow, I may be rich now. So, what do you do in return? You dislike people that have money. I can never dislike anybody that have money, okay? Because if your dream is to get to a level in life that you actually have where you don't want for nothing, then you cannot dislike, hate, talk bad, or talk down on someone who have who owns everything or most of the things, because everybody dreams of different things, most of the things that you dream of owning. So it's like, why would you talk down on people that you don't even know?
For people to remember, he did do the job once before. And so he is coming in with a better understanding of how Washington works. Is he the most detail-oriented human on policy? No. He did come in last time, actually, with a policy agenda that he wanted to enact, and he got totally both stymied by...
Of course, now you're saying President Musk. Musk was born in South Africa, okay? Pretoria, South Africa. So Musk is an African. He moved to Canada, then moved to the United States. So he's a Canadian, is a South African. He was born in South Africa. Is a South African, is a Canadian, and now is a United States citizen. So it's like, y'all just want to talk about, he could never be the president because he wasn't born in the United States. You have to be born in the United States to be able to become the president of the United States. But I know this for a fact. Chris Richardson definitely didn't know that. You definitely didn't know that, bro. I can tell you that much.
You know, someone in his own administration, and flummoxed by the various investigations into him. He's not facing any of that right now. So it'll be interesting to see what it looks like.
Well, the question then becomes, does this knowledge that he has, does that mean that he will be more Reagan-esque in his delivery?
See, no more says respect Musk is an African American, bro. Oh, man. Oh.
Or is it like the Velociraptor who tests the door in Jurassic Park and then is now figuring out how he can more successfully wreak havoc?
Right. Several people who have worked for him over the years have used the Jurassic Park analogy. So I think that seems.
Yes, I didn't make it up.
Right. It seems like. Well, I'm just saying, if you have to pick which one you think it's going to be, I don't think it's going to be Reagan-esque delivery. I think he is going to say things like, "I'll be fair to you as long as you're fair to me," which we have heard him, and his version of fairness is. Not necessarily everybody else's.
It means no criticism.
Right. It means doing what he wants or saying what he wants and not opposing him.
So Trump was asked what his father, Fred Trump, a very important figure in his life, would think about his political comeback. And he said, quote, "I think he maybe would not call it a comeback. He would have said, it's just Donald." What do you think of that?
So he's had something, I think two things. I think his father looms incredibly large for him, as you know, and I think that relates to something else he said in that interview. He got asked another time about, what a comeback this is, and he said something to the effect of, "I don't think of it as a comeback. I've always been here." And so I think that
that's what LL Cool J said.
Right. Well, I think there is something to how he framed that about his father, and now he's thinking of it himself, which is, his father would not really allow for any public acknowledgement that Trump has had troubles over the last 4 years. Trump's whole approach has generally been reality is what he decides to make it.
And during the campaign, of course, Trump said he had nothing to do with Project 2025. That's the group of conservative, MAGA adjacent and MAGA part of MAGA world individuals who wrote this plan, and the Democrats tried to attack them with it, and Trump would say, "I don't even know what that is." But he said, quote, "No, look, I don't disagree with everything in Project 2025, but I disagree with some things. I specifically didn't want to read it because it wasn't under my auspices, and I wanted to be able to say that." But he might not have read it, and I certainly believe that, but people told him what was in it.
Yeah, or at least some of what was in it. And he spoke at some event for them. Look, it wasn't his. That's true. His stuff was, I think it was Agenda 47 was what it was called. But number one, you didn't need Project 2025 to know that Trump was planning a lot of radical things, right? Just listen to his own language during the campaign, a lot of which overlapped with Project 2025. The bigger issue, Jake, is that Trump's campaign aides said no one who had anything to do with 2025, with Project 2025, will be in this administration.
That's not true.
And that's just bluntly not true. And I really don't believe that they always planned on sticking with that. So they said something that was a lie during the campaign.
Yeah, imagine. I'm Maggie Haberman. Thanks so much. It's always good to see you.
Jake Tapper, for sure. Jake Tapper always has something to say. Always. Shout out to Jake Tapper.
A headline, I got to be honest, Ken, it caught me off guard. Jim Carrey came out of retirement because he needs money? Well, apparently he's not the only one. Al Pacino, Hugh Grant, Nicolas Cage.
So, what's going on in Hollywood? So, Jim Carrey says he's coming out of retirement because he needs money. Al Pacino, same thing. Nicolas Cage. Well, I've seen a lot of Nicolas Cage new movies, and it's like probably low budget, but I mean, this guy's an amazing actor. Harrison Ford. I don't buy Harrison Ford coming out of retirement because he needs money. I mean, this is Harrison Ford, but that's what they're saying, not me.
Harrison Ford, these folks, if they can't retire with all the cash that they've made, how can the average American? I want to bring in now Matson Money founder, CEO Mark Matson. And Mark, I mean, what is going on? Listen, we saw Mike Tyson. Like, we knew Mike Tyson had to take the fight and maybe not win the fight, but he was in a dire situation. No one thought Jim Carrey was in that situation. And people are looking at this like, how can I ever retire if these guys can't retire?
Well, it's a very difficult thing to do for apparently not only normal everyday Americans, but for celebrities. And it's because of the nature of money itself. Money can't make you happy. If you look throughout history, you can see people like Elvis Presley, Marilyn Monroe, Prince, John Belushi. I mean, Howard Hughes, at the time, the richest person on the planet. They were very miserable, very unhappy. You had Jim Carrey said, I have enough, I've done enough, I am enough, but apparently he doesn't have enough. And he's going to have to go back and work like many people that go into the retirement thinking they have enough, and they don't.
So, and we know, to your point, more people are working longer. They're coming back out of retirement. So is it a myth? I mean, is there a path to really retiring comfortably?
There is a path, but it's a difficult one and wrought with a lot of danger. So I always tell people, look, most people dramatically underestimate how much they're going to need. There's a rule of 4 in financial planning, 4%. It basically says for every $1 million, you can basically take $40,000 a year in income. And that's if you make absolutely no mistakes in your investing process. So, most people don't want to retire on $40,000. So look, if you're going to have $120,000 a year, you're going to need $3 million bucks. And most people are dramatically under that. And then the second thing that they do is they take way too much risk in their investing process, often losing up to 50 to 75% of their money right when they need it the most.
Well, I know that you've created what you call the American Dream Experience. So how does that work?
Yeah, that's a 2-day workshop that we created to help people understand the dangers of how to toxic investing. We teach them the academics behind investing and then how to plan long term. Look, we're in a very precarious situation. From 95 to 2000, the S&P made on average of 22% a year. The NASDAQ made 45% a year. And then we had a 50% crash in growth stocks and a 75% crash in tech stocks. I'm not saying that history repeats itself, but it often rhymes. And people are going to have to get much broader diversification, analyze the risk in their portfolio, and truly understand the academics by how to do this instead of just gambling.
So then before I let you go, is there also a spending component to this? I mean, is there sort of, because when the market's running the way you described, we also have what they call the wealth effect. And we feel like we've got a little bit extra because check out my account and we go and spend money, not from cash flow, but on the assumption that we've got it and all of a sudden it's not there.
Yeah, it's extremely dangerous. Look, the reality is that investing is a dangerous game. Playing the market itself is dangerous. And I always tell people, look, you want to invest in the market long term, not play it. No one knows when the next Boeing's going to hit. Who would have ever guessed Boeing would lose everything? They made planes that crashed themselves. Doors flew off. Had massive, terrible problems. Many companies have gone bankrupt. Broad diversification in large stocks, microcap, value, and international, and hedge your equity risk with high-quality short-term fixed income. That way, if the market does take a 50% hit, you have cash to rebalance and buy that while it's low. And don't spend that. You know, a lot of people are getting money from their parents when they die.
Yeah.
They don't even reinvest it. They buy Ferraris and new houses.
Yeah. And let's face it, Jim Carrey always had the Groundhog movie and the, you know, in case of emergency, break glass, right? All of those actors got like, I can do part 4 to that movie. So most folks don't have that availability, so let's do it the right way. Mark, thank you so much, my friend. Appreciate it.
Can you hear me? Okay, so I don't buy that Jim Carrey has to come out of retirement because technically he never retired because he did the movie Sonny the Hedgehog. So I don't think he ever retired. Okay. What is the Five talking about? The border czar, Tom Homan, and Chicago mayor.
You're looking at the first photos of a big meeting here in New York City. Mayor Eric Adams welcoming Donald Trump's incoming border czar, Tom Homan, at his residence for a highly anticipated meeting. The Democrat mayor says he and Homan have the same goal, and that is to deport illegal migrants who might have been accused or who have been accused of crimes. Watch here.
We're going to protect the rights of immigrants in the city that are hardworking, giving back to the city in a real way. We're not going to be a safe haven for those who commit repeated violent crimes. We made terrible mistakes in the past by preventing to keep our city safe from those who have committed repeated acts of violence.
And while Adams embraces cooperation, his counterpart in Chicago, Mayor Brandon Johnson, this guy, he's vowing defiance to Trump's immigration plans. But Tom Homan is warning there will be consequences if he blocks deportations.
Chicago's in trouble because your mayor sucks and your governor sucks. And we're going to start right here in Chicago, Illinois. Now, if your Chicago mayor doesn't want to help, he can step aside. But if he impedes us, if he knowingly harbors and conceals an illegal alien, I will prosecute him.
Cyrus, I was saying on Newsroom today, I feel like President Trump is giving cover to people who want to do the right thing, but who's maybe the city council or their state legislature don't want to back them up on this, in this case, deporting illegal migrants. And so this meeting today in New York, is that a good step forward? Can something happen?
You know what? I could not be prouder than Mayor Adams, because he's not the mayor that the progressive liberals want, but he's becoming the hero that the people of New York need at his own expense. Because at the end of the day, he's a police officer and he has to serve and protect. And that's really what you want. He's not going to get support from those other groups. But by this meeting, he's showing that he doesn't care whether you're illegal or you're a citizen. If you break the law, there should be consequences. And and especially if you're breaking the law and you're not a citizen, you shouldn't be here. But he doesn't want the streets unsafe. He wants a sanctuary city can be a sanctuary city. It's a safe place to be, but behave, follow the rules, follow the laws, or there'll be consequences. And that's all he's trying to do, which is amazing to me that this is such a big deal. So yeah, he's going to get cover from the president, but he's going to get support from the people. And those who vote should look at the people who have problems with keeping our streets safe. Because if you break it down, that's all it's about, is keeping our streets safe. People in Chicago, you think they're going to continue to vote for a guy who's going to obstruct keeping their city safe?
Right.
That works for a while, but he's going to find out the hard way.
There'll be a backlash. And Judge, do you think that we'll see some results? Like, I'm so hopeful. Well, I don't want to get my hopes up too high and be disappointed.
I think we are going to see results, because I think that Tom Homan
is with the support of the Trump administration, they are going to prosecute people for knowingly harboring illegals. That is a crime, and they're going to prosecute those crimes. What I think is interesting is that Mayor Adams forgot he was a cop for the first couple years of his being the mayor. And I used to yell here and say, I want to see you roll your sleeves up and go to a homicide scene and be a real cop. But now that he's been indicted, you know, maybe he's had a change of heart. What bothers me, though, is the quote is this. We want to deport those who are convicted of repeated violent crimes. First of all, as far as I'm concerned, any crime, since you're here illegally, is enough. And by the way, we've got 1.4 million deportation orders already before we even get to the violent crimes. Okay, so they've got a huge job. And you compare New York and Chicago to each other. You know, at least in New York, Mayor Adams, to his credit, you know, he's singing the right song. He's in the right choir now. And I'm happy about that. But what's going to happen is if Chicago and Brandon Johnson decide, like Maureen Healey from Massachusetts and who's the other one, Newsom from California, you know, if they want to protect illegals who are criminals, even those against whom a deportation order has been issued, you know what's going to happen? All of the illegal criminals are going to go to their states. And you know what? Good on them. Good point. They're going to end up with an incredible number of illegals who are going to commit violent crimes. And finally, I think it is amazing that you would want to fight the deportation orders, especially if your job, you know, if you're so ideologically left that you forget you work for the American people.
Yeah, Jesse, if you want to follow the rule of law, if there is a deportation order, then by law, you have to deport them. It's not cruel to follow the law.
Like, I couldn't harbor at my house in New Jersey America's Most Wanted. I couldn't just have all of America's Most Wanted in my house, eating and showering all day, and the government at the gate saying, hey, Mr. Waters, we'd like to come in and grab these guys. No, and there was a standoff. I would lose that standoff pretty badly. That's what Mayor Johnson's doing. Mayor Johnson thinks he's another country, like Venezuela, like with a non-extradition treaty, where like you can't move people out. No, you're in the same country. And he's also pretty stupid because he was complaining, Texas, don't send any migrants here. And now he's like, well, don't take them away. Like, which one? Do you want them here or do you not want them here? I'm not really sure. Imagine if Rudy Giuliani, when he was mayor, was harboring Russian hackers on the Lower East Side. And the feds wanted to pick up the Russian hackers, and he was just allowing Russian hackers to work and commit crimes from a little apartment down on the Lower East. No! That would never happen, but because they're Spanish and they're gangbangers, somehow it's different. It's no different at all. Could we put up the picture of the meeting between Homan and Adams for a second? My sources inside City Hall say Homan sat down and just stared at him. He didn't say anything. It was a staring contest because you never want to speak first at a meeting. No, you never want to speak first at a meeting. And Adams knew that because it's a power game.
Wait a minute.
And so they just sat there and for 45 minutes, they just stared at each other.
Okay, wait a minute. There's no one else in that room. Do you have a wiretap or a bug in there? That's illegal. Maybe there's already a legal one in there.
Harold, do you want to be the body language expert and explain to us what happened in this meeting?
I'm glad I listened to Mayor Adams after the meeting, and he said that it was a good meeting. He basically articulated what's been said around the table, and I think Tyrus from the outset said it well. I would differ slightly with Tyrus in just one regard. I think there are a lot of Democrats like me that want.
I'm talking about like, progressive. That's like talking about the Tea Party.
Right.
I'm talking about everyday Democrats.
So, but I think a lot of everyday Democrats. I saw there was a Democrat in the city today. I think the public advocate came out and was critical of Mayor Adams for meeting with Homan and saying he wanted to be helpful in some ways. You're going to have tension in politics. Republicans, you have it on your side. Democrats have it on our side. But I'm glad, to your point, when someone stands up and wants to lead, it's a very, very good thing. Most New Yorkers want their streets safe. Most New Yorkers, an overwhelming number of New Yorkers want safe streets, safe subways, better education outcomes. And whatever his motivation is, Judge, I don't know what I've heard him. He's certainly had a little change on this issue because I remember when the migrants were first coming to the city.
He was shaking their hands.
They all were.
I think he tried to play politician. I think he was forced to be politician. He just said, you know, I'm a cop. I'm not doing this anymore.
I like it when politicians, particularly politicians, can say, on Monday 6 weeks ago, I was for position A, but after watching what's happened 6 months later, I've had a change of heart. And whatever that change of heart, I attribute it to him knowing and realizing that his city has been overrun. I'm part of the city that sees it over and over again. And finally, I like Tom Homan. I wish him the very best, but I'm reminded of the great Nick Saban, who I think is the greatest college football coach of all time. He said, I always analyze kids when they came into the program. Who were the workhorses and who were the show horses? Be a workhorse, Mr. Homan. You got all the power to do everything you want to do. All the tough guy stuff, just leave it out. Stop preaching to politicians. Just go in and do the job. And you're going to have guys like me, Democrats, supporting you up and down.
I'm a hero.
That's very good.
Shout out to Tom Homan. Tom Homan ain't playing around. Tom Homan ain't playing around. And okay, just to give you guys a little context, okay, we're gonna take you to Chicago. Shout out to Ellie. Ellie's from Chicago, okay, Illinois, and yes, we're gonna see what Chicago mayor is doing, and then, I mean, Ellie, look at what your people are saying. Look at what your people are saying concerning the Chicago mayor.
For this opportunity to share my thoughts.
Thank you very much for your comments. Our next speaker this morning is Zoe Lee.
I, and state your name.
I, Brandon Johnson.
Do solemnly swear.
Do solemnly swear.
That I will support the Constitution of the United States.
That I will support the Constitution of the United States.
And the Constitution of the State of Illinois.
And the Constitution of the State of Illinois.
For nearly 2 years, the City of Chicago has refused to resolve a case that blatantly violates the 5th and 14th Amendment. Instead, they have continued to commit federal law violations and support fraudulent documents filed by City Chicago attorney Bradley Wilson. Ironically, the city is prioritizing settling cases against the police, even in instances where individuals shot at officers first, while disregarding clear constitutional and legal breaches in this matter. Democrats love to accuse Trump and Republicans of corruption and constitutional violations. Yet, under their leadership in Chicago, black families like mine face the same abuses: constitutional rights ignored, fraudulent actions covered up, and public corruption left unchecked. Mayor Brandon Johnson, you took an oath to uphold the Constitution. Or when you took an oath, was it only intended to fight for the 10th and 14th Amendments regarding illegal aliens? You're paying for votes to pass the budget. Everything about this body and administration is unconstitutional. I keep coming here. You know I've been coming here for 2 years. I don't have to tell you about my case anymore because you know about my case. Mary Richardson Lowry, you know about my case too. And you also took an oath. All of y'all took an oath. Y'all are straight violating the U.S. Constitution. But y'all sit and talk about how Trump is so unconstitutional and how he's going to overturn the government and he's going to do all this. But I've been coming here for 2 years. This is the Democratic Party. This ain't Trump. This ain't Matt Gaetz. We come from the federal level to the state level, to Governor Pritzker, to Kwame Raoul that we cannot find, who's the Attorney General, to you guys fighting for some illegal aliens who haven't put a dime in this country when my mother has a building that the City of Chicago Buildings Department demolished because this disgrace alderman over there, 17th Ward David Moore, didn't do his duty as an alderman. This falls on you. It falls on you. You're the mayor this time. What was the purpose of you raising your right hand? What was the purpose of that? That's crazy. You are in violation of the Constitution, the U.S. Constitution, the law of the land, the supreme law of the land. That's crazy.
Oh man, she ain't having it no more. She says you are not following the Constitution. Mayor, This is wild. Ellie, is this what is going on in Chicago? Let me know, Ellie. Let me listen to what she said.
On you, you're the mayor this time. What was the purpose of you raising your right hand? What was the purpose of that? That's crazy. You are in violation of the Constitution, the U.S. Constitution, the law of the land, the supreme law of the land. That's crazy.
Thank you very much for your comments. Our next speaker is Jessica Jackson.
Now, before you get offended and try to stop me from saying what I'm going to say, you're a biblical person, so
There we go.
you say, just like I am. The Bible speaks of stupidity. The Bible says that the children of Israel were a stupid, stubborn, stiff-necked people. That was the reason why they couldn't get out the wilderness. The stupidity of this administration, the stupidity of this administration to think that we don't know any better than to know that you all are going to pass that budget with all those tax increases. The stupidity to think that we don't know that you all could have corrected this stuff a long time ago. The stupidity to think that you all could come with this type of cut, this type of recommendation, and not come with the true accounting of how much money was spent on these illegals. You all have yet to be transparent with that. That's the biggest financial downfall of the city. Yet, there has not been any type of audit, any type of financial accounting for illegal immigration. It is stupidity of this administration to think that we did not know the other day at the budget meeting when they had the law department here, that key members of the law department that sit in here every day, like that Levine, like that other one with the glasses, to think, Mary Richardson Laurie, that you really could make us try to think that the city and the county are so different, so separate, that they don't intertwine with one another, especially when it comes to public corruption. For you to insult people like that. For you all to think that we believe that you did an 800 survey of voters that made you all step back and look at what you were voting on when we stood at this mic. And I told you that if you voted wrong for money, we was coming for them seats. That's where it came from. Not from no fake 800 people. So now, we're going to continue with what we started. Make you famous Friday. Until you all get it through your thick heads that we're not playing. Afro Elite pulled the name yesterday for Michelle Harris. And she can sit there and rock like she don't hear it, but everybody knows when you hear your name, it triggers something inside of you. Tune in, 6 o'clock on Zoe Lee, Leigh, YouTube. We're going to make you famous, Alderwoman.
Oh, I wish my mic was working. What is wrong with this mic? Oh, this is so wild. Chicago is going wild.
Michelle Harris.
Thank you very much for your comments. Our next speaker is Osiris King.
Go Red, Chicago Red. Good morning, Mayor Brandon Johnson. This is my first time seeing you in person. It's really cool, and just not seeing it through the news. My name is Osiris. I'm a young 26-year-old man here in Chicago, and I remember when my elementary school in the area that I live in, the Wadsworth Elementary School, was turned into a migrant shelter. And I remember how Democrats talked to us like we were stupid. You need help. The immigrants need help. Y'all gotta work together. They live in poverty. This is something that you have to accept. And they talked to us like we were 5 years old. But y'all wanna talk about Republicans belittling black people and talking to them like they're stupid? I felt like I was 3 years old, like, okay, like, I don't know where Venezuela is on a map. Half of the people who support these migrants probably couldn't point to Venezuela on a map, but a lot of folks are probably wondering, what is this young black kid or young black man doing wearing this hard hat in City Hall today? Well, let me tell you, growing up, my favorite show was Bob the Builder. He wore a very funny yellow hat. This hat is a symbol of Bob the Builder building the wall, building it tall around America, around Chicago. We don't want illegals in our community. We don't want migrants terrorizing.
This is why the Democratic Party will probably lose in 2028 and 2032, because you guys don't listen to the people. The people are saying they want a wall. They don't want illegal immigrants in their community, and yet you tell them, shh, you don't know what you're saying. The illegal immigrant need help. They need some help. Let's help them. It's like they're telling you they don't want the illegal immigrant in their spot. They don't need the illegal immigrant in their community, in their society. Yet you're saying, you're saying that my daughter. I just looked at my daughter and she was doing something she wasn't supposed to do. I'll be right back.
Our own people. And to have y'all sit up here and say, we have to accept $70 million being given to them when you got black people who are already struggling and need help, it is a disgrace. It is a disgrace. And this election of Donald Trump represents something that is just more than him winning. This is the end of vote blue no matter who. This is the end of they black, you gotta vote for them. This is the end of Democrats saying lesser than two evils. They did that with Hillary. They did that with Biden. They did that with Kamala. It didn't work this time. People are sick and tired because nowadays you got to get your hands dirty. You got to come down and talk to the people. You got to give a little to get a little. Black people are not falling for the okie doke. A long time ago, y'all would say, black people jump. We say, how high? They say, stoop down. We say, how low? They say, go vote Democrat. We would run faster than Usain Bolt to get to the ballot box. But this is the end. And must I also say, people talk about Mayor Brandon Johnson, but he is just a microcosm of the problem in the Democrat Party. I want to talk to Democrats on a national stage. You got in New York City, Black Lives Matter being very upset, and that's fine, but also be very upset about what's going on in Chicago with these black people being terrorized by the migrants, the illegal immigrants, and no one can say anything about it. It's not fair. So at the end of the day, with the time I got left, I want people to think about who really has the power. Democrats think they have the power. Obama, who was an abomination to this entire nation, thinks he got the power. Hillary Clinton and Chuck Schumer and Nancy Pelosi think they got the power. They think they can bully us and we got to stand silent. But people in America everywhere know that we got the power. And we saw Donald Trump.
Thank you very much for your comments. Thank you very much for your comments. Our next speaker is More Real News.
Go ahead, Owen.
Our next speaker is More Real News.
Y'all like my blue shoes? They hurt. Because that's
Oh my
all
God.
the Democrats been giving is pain. I came down here a little bit at the same time as Zoe, Miss Jackson, and I've been homeless. My child and I have been on the streets. We actually slept in a car on Thanksgiving because some bogus stuff with some Democrats wouldn't get us in the apartment when the landlord signed the lease on the 22nd. But exactly, they can get the illegals in. You can get them in, you can get them in, Brandon, can you? You can give everything to them, even though I gave you information on how the shelters treat our people, etc. But y'all can build these nice shelters and put them in these nice hotels, you know. But you know, I got a little stability now. You know what I'm saying? So I'm gonna be speaking a little different and a little better. I ain't gonna cuss you out like they told me not to. I ain't gonna get you. I ain't gonna get you. Because I'm not fake here. It's just that I'm a real man and a real father. So I feel a different hurt than maybe you do. And that makeup ain't for him. Don't crack jokes on him. That's for his wife. You know what I'm saying? I'm natural. My wife is natural. We will. I ain't faking. I ain't faking and saying, excuse me, I'm not faking and saying who I am. I tell them all the time I'm a Moorish American, whether who like it or not. I stand on that. I ain't faking like Miss Clay, Islam, and more and things like that. You ain't even got a bay on your name. Stop faking. I ain't faking like Jeanette Taylor, claiming, oh, we for the people, and then vote something different against the people. And I'm running for alderman in that ward, in 20th ward. And I'm standing on that 20 of love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. So the streets know what I'm talking about. I'm running for that ward. A real man, a real person for the community, a real person that y'all know came for nothing. I've been down here, came for nothing, from the ground floor. Even when we was homeless, I still dressed nice and represented as a man, and as a father, and as a leader. And also prophesied things down here. And the well is my comrade.
Yes, indeed.
We prophesied go red. We prophesied we gonna get Trump up in here. That red look nice on you, Miss Coleman. You always look like a stripper, but anyway,
Okay.
we gonna get you.
Okay, that's it. Shut his
We
mic
gonna
off.
get-
Your time is up, sir.
Excuse me.
You will not insult people on this floor. Your
Excuse me.
time is up.
Excuse me.
Back, please.
Speakers are reminded that people of all ages are listening to public comments, and we ask that you please refrain from personal attacks and using profanity. Thank you very much.
If you continue to have an outburst, I would ask you to be removed. Now, we've taken your time. If you can, please continue.
Our next speaker is Moises Moreno.
People of Chicago are not having this. They're speaking out and they're like, we are not having this no more. Hell no, we're not having this no more. What's Mayor
And so
Adams
you write
saying?
different stories that distort what I've stated. So I'm not wasting my time. I'm being very clear, and I'm not going to spend hours answering your questions over and over again for you already to have your preconceived notions and your distorted views on what I have articulated. We're going to protect the rights of immigrants in the city that are hardworking, giving back to the city in a real way. We're not going to be a safe haven for those who commit repeated violent crimes against innocent migrants, immigrants, and longstanding New Yorkers. That was my conversation today with the border czar to figure out how do we go after those individuals who are repeatedly committing crimes in our city. We're going to tell those who are here, who are law-abiding, to continue to utilize the services that are open to the city, the services that they have a right to utilize, educating their children, health care, public protection, and the things that we have long been proudful in doing so. But we will not be a safe haven for those who commit violent acts. We don't do it for those who are citizens, and we're not going to do it for those who are undocumented. We made terrible mistakes in the past by preventing to keep our city safe from those who are committed repeated acts of violence, particularly these dangerous gangs that we have witnessed in our city, and we're not going to continue in that direction. I'm going to answer a few questions, and then I am leaving, because it's not going to matter what I respond to anyway. You have your preconceived thoughts already.
Okay, first of all, I do not have a preconceived thought. I want you to know that right from the start.
Thank you.
Number one here, are we talking about people who are just charged, or does that, I mean convicted, or does that include charged? And how exactly, if you could give us some specifics, would this work?
Our legal team is vetting. Do we have the authorization to sit down and speak with ICE legal team to operationalize what both our desires are. And once we get that approval, then we will give you a complete layout of how it's going to work.
Mayor?
Yes.
Right here, sir. When you told Mr. Homan, I'm willing to work with you to make sure we're not a safe haven for people committing crimes, he pushed back and say, I'm looking to deport beyond that. I'm looking to deport undocumented people simply because they are documented dreamers, for instance, asylum seeking migrants who have not committing crimes. And what, if anything, did you say about deporting those people who have not done any crime?
He told you he pushed back on it?
I'm asking you,
okay, all right.
He push back on you saying I want a broader scope?
From what I heard from the incoming head of ICE is that we have the same desire to go after those who are committing violent acts, repeated violent acts among innocent New Yorkers and among migrants and asylum seekers. That's what I heard from him, and I was pleased to hear that because we share the same desire.
Hi, Mr. Mayor. How are you?
Good. How are you, Craig?
Good. So, in part of this meeting, you were looking at how to address it and kind of meet the new administration a little halfway here.
Now, do you guys think Mayor Adams, before he was indicted, do you think he was acting this way? Do you think he wanted the illegal immigrant out of the city of New York? Because New Yorkers have been saying that this guy, of course, is a Democrat, and they've spent over $1.5 billion, I think, in just 2022 or 2023 alone. So it's like, if this has been his mindset, what do you think? Or has he changed his mindset after he was indicted? Or is just like, you know what? These people are destroying our city. We need to stop now. And I'm in support of the border czar, the head of ICE, Tom Homan, and I support the OG, the legend, the 45th, now the 47th president-elect, Donald Trump. And that's it. I don't care if I'm indicted. Cancel me. I support the ICE director, and I support the 47th. Do you think that's what's happening, or is changing his mind because he's been indicted by the Democratic DOJ?
Maybe, however you guys are going to meet. Part of that conversation, as you've mentioned, Marsha Kramer's show, is looking at executive orders. So was there any talk about executive orders? And then what would those executive orders entail, and how would they work to kind of address what you had discussed with the orders are today?
I spoke with our my legal team here to look at the powers of my executive orders to accomplish my goals of ridding our streets from those repeated individuals who carry out violent acts of violence towards New Yorkers and towards migrants and asylum seekers. And once we come to a full understanding of that, then we will report on it.
Hi, Mr. Mayor. What did you ask incoming border czar Homan about his plans for his scope for deportation? What questions did you ask him about how far he wants to go with deportations, and what did he tell you?
Well, I think that what has been reported is totally distorted from what our face-to-face, eyeball-to-eyeball conversation. His goal is the same goal I have. We cannot allow dangerous individuals to commit repeated violent acts of violence in our cities across America. I've said this before, and I'm surprised the way everyone is attempting to state this is a new coming of Eric Adams. I've stated this over and over again, long before this election, that this can't be a safe haven for violent individuals. You have a right, a privilege to live in this country, and those who want to commit acts of violence, they are violating that privilege.
Sir, that you're a law fear.
We got to keep it tight. Yolanda, go ahead.
Living in a shelter.
Thank you so much.
Señor Alcalde, buenas tardes. Did Mr. Homan make any specific request from the city in order to work with you in this crisis?
His desire is clearly, again, what my target area is. And what I've learned also from sitting down with him and a representative from the Biden administration that was there in the meeting as well, we have 500,000 children who had sponsors in this country that we can't find. We can't find them. We don't know if they're doing child labor. We don't know if they're doing sex crimes. We don't know if they're being exploited. 500,000 children. There's a level.
Wow. Wow. Just wow. I am surprised that Mayor Eric Adams, would even utter a word like that. Words like that could come out of a Democratic mayor. Yeah, Trump has changed everything. He has definitely changed everything, and something isn't right.
Level of hypocrisy that everyone that states they want to protect everyone but innocent individuals who are victims of crimes and children. I want to support and protect children and innocent people that are victims of crime. And those who don't understand that, it's not up to me to try to convince them. I know what my job is, my goal is, and I was clear of that while running and when I became mayor. Safety means everything to me. 500,000 children, we don't know where they are right now in this country.
Will New York remain a sanctuary city, and will you do anything to repeal any of the work that the de Blasio administration did to limit interactions with ICE and other immigration officials?
New York remaining a sanctuary city is determined by the city council. They told you what their position is. I'm going to try to attempt to use my executive orders to go after dangerous people who are committing violence acts against migrants and asylum seekers and long-term New Yorkers and undocumented immigrants. No one should be a victim of a crime in the city, and particularly violent crimes. And I said that over and over again. I'm going to continue to stand by that.
Mr. Mayor, I wonder if you could detail exactly the kind of cooperation the NYPD will be giving to federal officials in your quest to rid the city of the violent criminals that you talk about.
We need to unravel all of these rules and procedures and laws and all of these rules and procedures. We need to unravel them and get clarity on what we could do and what we can't do. About 170 crimes currently allow us to communicate and collaborate with ICE after a conviction. We need to examine them and see what, again, my authority using executive orders to ensure that I keep New Yorkers safe. That's my only goal. I cannot make it any clearer, and so if pursuing that goal means that my years and years of advocating for immigrants that are here attempting to find the American dream, if that demonizes me, then I'm gonna take it. But I'm gonna save lives in this city.
Right. All right now.
During the de Blasio administration, do you feel that since it was approved during the de Blasio administration, that you have the authority to enforce them now, to let NYPD officials enforce them with ICE officials now, so that you can begin doing what you just said you wanted to do?
Let me tell you one of the challenges that we're having. Currently, you could have one of these dangerous Venezuelan gangs that are here. They can be in real active investigation into some of the criminality that they're doing. There's a lack of clarity that can we assist in preventing the act from taking place. That just makes no sense to me. And I don't know why we want to ignore the fact that there is, from some of these dangerous Ecuadorian gangs we saw on Long Island, the dangerous gangs that we saw coming from other regions, we have an obligation and responsibility to keep people safe in this city. And all law enforcement should play a role in that. All law enforcement. And we should not handcuff law enforcement for carrying out that job. And I think that this entire narrative has been hijacked. There's a great level of distortion. People are trying to push their own agenda. I have one agenda. I've never lied about the agenda. I've never been, slick about my agenda. Keeping New Yorkers safe. And it doesn't matter if they are documented or undocumented, because some of the criminal aspects in this city are preying on migrants, asylum seekers, and undocumented, and so many levels. And this is not about protecting just certain parts. Everybody, everyone in this city should be protected and should not be the victims of violent crimes. And that was a conversation I had with the border czar. We shared that same belief, and we're going to pursue that same belief. And I'm looking forward to that pursuit. Thank you.
I don't know now. I don't know if Tom Homan says he wants to protect illegals. Okay, Tom Homan ain't. He's not protecting illegals. He's sending them packing. Okay. He's sending them packing real fast. And back to New Jersey and New York with the drones. What do you guys think is going on with the drones? I hate the way my mic sounds, but I'm sorry, guys. What's going on with the drones in New Jersey? Check it out.
About these drones, that black blob in the night sky is a drone, a good-sized one, though it's hard to tell without other objects close in the frame to compare it to. It's one of dozens that have been spotted recently in the skies over New Jersey and New York, in the New York area, including a military research facility around the Trump property in Bedminster as well. Today, the White House sought to downplay rumors.
We have no evidence at this time that the reported drone sightings pose a national security or a public safety threat, or have a foreign nexus.
Security officials held a private briefing today for members of Congress, some of whom are demanding more in the way of answers.
I've been a little frustrated. There hasn't been enough transparency, letting people know what's happening. It's allowing a lot of potentially misinformation to spread, or at least fear. We should know what's going on over our skies, and I've asked for a lot more information.
They should be shot down if necessary because they're flying over sensitive areas, whether it's...
I mean, how is Congress not privy to the information about the drones flying around in New Jersey and New York? If Congress isn't privy to the information, you definitely know you cannot be privy to those information.
Planes that may be jeopardized or security at military bases, we ought to do a much better job. The Biden administration ought to be acting more aggressively against these drones.
Well, Senator Booker, who you heard there a moment ago, along with his New Jersey and New York Senate colleagues, sent a letter today to the heads of DHS, FBI, and FAA requesting a briefing on the matter. More on this all now from CNN's Omar Jimenez.
So people have been seeing drones. Don't worry, this is one of ours. But we've been going around talking to people in this northern New Jersey area, and really almost everyone you talk to has either seen one or knows someone who's seen one.
What are they? Who's sending them up there? What are they doing there? Why doesn't anybody know what they are? You know, and why New Jersey? It didn't sound like an airplane, which is why I went out and looked at it.
It was loud, but not any louder than the airplanes, because the airplanes are loud.
Yeah, the jets were loud.
And there were jets flying over at the same time. They actually flew in a circle around our building, both of them, and then across, and then disappeared. It still could be somebody playing a trick, but which is unlikely because they are so big.
Yeah, it's not a 10-year-old flying it, you know.
Yeah. I'll just let the people that are trying to figure it out.
But to this point, no one has, at least publicly. The FBI is now investigating weeks of reported drone sightings over New Jersey. That's according to a document given to state and local officials. As a growing number of people report seeing drones, some described as 6 feet in diameter, flying in the skies. And there have been questions about when they first started popping up. Reports seem to vary, but the Picatinny Arsenal, which is a military installation in northern New Jersey, has confirmed sightings in the area going back to November 13th. And countrywide, this isn't the first time mysterious drones or something like it have been spotted around military installations.
So specifically, Langley Air Force Base did experience incursions of unauthorized unmanned aerial systems last year in December 2023. The number of those UAS incursions did fluctuate on any given day, but they didn't appear to exhibit any hostile intent.
And while with the New Jersey reported sightings, the White House says many have actually been manned aircraft, some witnesses disagree.
They'll just change direction, like go from like 90 to like 270 degrees, just like fly different directions, and planes obviously can't do that. Nothing during the day, just completely at night. It's odd.
And public officials are starting to get frustrated.
They're creating so much fear and uneasiness in the public.
There's no excuse for us not to know at this point. Now is not the time to mess around. It is a time for action. We're past the point of let's pretend it's not a big deal and try to keep everybody calm while we figure it out. It's really concerning. And quite frankly, it's not acceptable.
It's definitely not
Now,
acceptable.
the Department of Homeland Security and the FBI are throwing a little bit of cold water on this. They said in a joint statement that based on what they've seen so far, they don't see any national security threat or anything like that, but also that they are investigating whether these reported drone sightings are actually drones or whether they're being mistakenly identified for manned aircraft. And they did say many of the cases that they've investigated have actually turned out to be manned aircraft. That said, they are continuing to investigate, and without a definitive answer to this point, especially over reported sightings that span back to midpoint of last month, it's left this vacuum where a lot of questions have come up and a lot of questions from people who are upset that there is not a definitive answer to this point, Anderson.
All right, Omar Jimenez, thanks very much. John Miller is back. Also joining us is CNN Senior National Security Analyst Julia Kayyem. She's a former Assistant Secretary for Homeland Security, currently a professor at Harvard's Kennedy School. So I've been skeptical of this whole thing. How do we know this isn't just some people, flying around drones, and once people get upset about it, they just continue?
I think it's a couple of things. One, it's because of the size. I mean, people have described these things as being the size of a small automobile. So as Omar pointed out in his piece, that's not the drone we bought for our kids or a hobbyist necessarily. It looks expensive. The second thing is that when they've been encountered, and the idea is like, where are they coming from? And they're flying in groups. And if they're coming from offshore, the New Jersey State Police had helicopters literally laying offshore waiting for this because it was night after night after night. And when they chased them, they shut off their lights, the drones shut off their lights and increased speed and disappeared. So it sounds like, it feels like, whoever it is definitely not looking to be encountered, detected, seen, or explained.
Juliet, I mean, does it surprise you we don't have a definitive answer yet on the origin of these things, considering all the money that's invested in national security and protecting U.S. airspace?
Yeah, and particularly airspace. I mean, an entire system of control from Northcom to NORAD to the FAA to regulations regarding drones and the ability to fly certain unmanned vehicles, depending on their size, their capacity, and everything else. This whole regulatory system exists. And the answer we've gotten back is, well, it's likely not drones. And so that's what the government is now saying, is that most of them are manned aircraft. But what John is saying is then that would suggest that all of these eyewitness accounts and all of these videos that are showing multiple drones of large size that are moving in ways that an airplane doesn't move, and that try to avoid detection, we're still not getting a great explanation around that. And look, some of these videos we have to, people are probably putting online now. Some of them may look like a drone, but it's actually an aircraft. But there's too many eyewitness accounts.
John, I mean,
it's just a manned aircraft.
Yeah, have we seen this before? I mean, were there other incidents in other places?
I mean, in Norfolk, Virginia, in late 2023, you had 17 days of this over military locations, naval locations by the shore. And
was that ever figured out?
No, not figured out. And I mean, to Juliet's point, there's 110 mayors, that were at this conference where they did the briefing, and their residents are angry about the government response saying, well, they were fixed-wing aircrafts. It's like fixed-wing aircrafts don't stop and hover and then go dark and take off. They're a little insulted about the idea that they're not being believed.
Do we even know how to, I mean, obviously drones have been a huge part of the war in Ukraine. Has anti-drone technology, I mean, do we know how to fight against drones?
So we do, and that's an issue here, which is under the current conundrum of laws between the FAA, Federal Aeronautic Administration, DHS, which is in charge of infrastructure security, the FBI, which has drone interdiction and detection capability and authority, and then all of local law enforcement. Only the FBI is authorized to use that. So when you hear people saying, well, they should shoot them down, first of all, the complication is it's not illegal to fly a drone at night in New Jersey. So what are you shooting them down for? And second of all, the police aren't allowed to do that because the federal government even at events like New Year's Eve in Times Square and other things where you'd say, if something with a payload came in, you'd want to take it out. They don't have that authority.
Wow. John Miller, thank you, Julia Keim, as well.
New Yorkers, New Jersey folks are getting wild, and they're like, yo, what is going on? Now, nobody's even thinking about this may be UFOs. Nobody's thinking about UFOs. Maybe they are UFOs, but you heard Congressman. He said it's from a mothership that the Iranians deployed to the eastern part of the United States, and he said it's from a credible intelligence he got. But it's still wild to even think of. Okay. People are wild. People are getting scared. I just pray for peace, man. I just pray for peace. Wait, I need to pause this and give a shout out.
And Jonathan Turley, he's a constitutional.
Shout out to Vegas Woman. Shout out to Mr. Busky. Shout out to Ellie. Shout out to all the moderators. Shout out to everybody in the chat room. God bless you. What city are you watching from? Put it in the chat right now if you can. Let's get it.
Law attorney at George Washington University and a Fox News contributor as well. He does everything, and he comes on America's Newsroom, and we're glad for it. There's just the pardon of Hunter, though, continues to have bad feelings that have come as a result of that. You wrote about it, but I want to play something for you from the former Biden senior advisor, Anita Dunn, and then have you respond. Watch.
Had this pardon been done at the end of the term, in the context of compassion, the way many pardons will be done, I am sure, and many commutations will be done, I think would have been a different story. I do not agree with the way it was done. I don't agree with the timing, and I don't agree, frankly, with the attack on our judicial system.
Okay, so she's not a fan.
No, it's still a rather muted criticism. Quite frankly, it deserves something a bit stronger than that. It wasn't the timing. It was the fact that he was using a presidential power to benefit not just his own family, but himself, because he pardoned for any crime that Hunter may have committed over a decade, including crimes that some feel the president himself is implicated in.
And the other thing is, let's just pull up this AP poll. Only 2 in 10 backed the Hunter pardon. But the other point was that the timing of it. So Anita Dunn says, I don't like the timing. It could have been done at the end and everybody would have understood. But the reason he did it was so that Hunter Biden would never have been convicted in the first place.
That's right. What they feared was that he would be officially convicted, also that he would have a hard sentence that would have to be set aside. He didn't want any of that. These sentences come with reports that are often very embarrassing, that might refer to some of the other allegations against him. All of that was avoided by doing this.
In all of that pardons that Mark Meredith was just reporting on, why would Bill Clinton ask for one for Hillary?
Right. Well, there's a strange thing going on, Dana. The new rage item this season is a pardon. I mean, everyone seems to want to be put on the naughty list. I mean, you are nobody in D.C. unless you're on that list. And it's a curious thing. As you know, usually around this time, people are fighting to get on the inaugural ball list. But we have people, including Bill Clinton, saying, well, how about Hillary? And you're talking about some pundits are saying you should give thousands of pardons, whole categories of people. And part of it is to try to fulfill the narrative. The nightmare for Democrats is that democracy is not going to collapse, that people are not going to be taken in mass to camps, as was stated on various programs. That's a real problem if democracy actually survives. The best way to blunt that and to preserve the narrative is say, oh, well, you know, there are these white knight pardons that Biden saved America by pardoning whole categories of people, so he couldn't do that. And that's the only backup position position that they have. But you now have this strange thing like Bill Clinton saying, you know, I really think that my wife should be on that list. You've got commentators saying, I need to be on that list. And the list of naughties are getting longer for this season.
It's an interesting thing because I was just thinking of my Christmas wish list. I got to get that for Peter. A pardon is not on it, I will tell you that. John Fetterman, the senator from Pennsylvania, he continues to delight and surprise. This is something he tweeted. He said, I'm sorry, it was his first Truth Social post. The Trump hush money and Hunter Biden cases were both BS, and pardons are appropriate. Weaponizing the judiciary for blatant partisan gain diminishes the collective faith in our institutions and sows further division. Do you think those two are comparable, the Hunter Biden case and the Trump hush money case?
No, they're not comparable. I mean, most Americans agree the New York case is blatant lawfare. Hunter Biden was demonstrably guilty. I mean, he was convicted by a jury in Delaware, the home state of the Biden family. So this was not some hostile jurisdiction like the one that Trump faced in Manhattan. So I don't think they are comparable. But I think a lot of people are now looking at this election, and perhaps they feel a little more ability to say what is obvious, that this was lawfare, that it has really destroyed the legal system. And I'm hoping that maybe we could come together on that. We can all drop the rage rhetoric. We can begin to look at the legal system for reform. You know, there's a lot of support for Trump coming in to reform these departments, and he's picking people from outside the establishment to guarantee that that gets done. And I think a lot of citizens find that rather, you know, supportive and pleasing, considering that they want to see changes in Washington.
Well, now we know what's on your list. The unity about judicial reforms. Let's hope you get it. Thanks, Jonathan. Good to see you.
I'm Steve Ducey.
Yes, sir. Thank you for tuning into the live show. You know what time it is. It is your boy, Genesis. Double tap your screen. Sub up. Subscribe to the channel. Still concerning the drones in New Jersey. Listen to what this congressman says.
So, Congressman Jeff Van Drew, Republican of New Jersey, you were in a briefing yesterday. You had said that you believe, or you heard, that it could be from Iran. The Pentagon says that's not the case. And so I wonder, like, if you had put in China, if the Pentagon would then be forced to respond as well. And then we somehow narrow it down by way of guessing game.
They've been incredibly stupid and incredibly weak with this. Here's the point. We know they're not backyard drones that some hobbyist is using because they're much more sophisticated than that. We know that they're not a commercial company within the United States because we don't even have this level of sophistication yet. We are a full decade behind where China is with drones. The government claims it's not them. They say it's not them. So who is it? Well, I had credible individuals who have high security ratings, and they came to me. And again, these are dependable, credible individuals that have security clearance that felt that they wanted to clear the air. They were in essence whistleblowers and said, look, they believe there's a real possibility it could be Iran, that there could be a ship out, not right on the coast of New Jersey, not right there, but these drones, as cited by the Coast Guard, are coming in and out of the ocean. They're going to the ocean. They're not pontoons. They're not landing on the water. They're landing on something. We're not being told the truth. They are dealing with the American public like we're stupid. And again, understand these drones are sophisticated systems, ones that we don't have, that we don't normally see, and we need some real substantive answers. This has been going on for almost 1 month. It's incredible.
Sir, some people did not respect your answers yesterday when you were on our network with Harris. But you're on the Transportation Committee, you're on the Aviation Subcommittee, so you've got some chops. But, I mean, you pulled a pin and rolled it down the hall. And Jen Griffin took that question that you laid out yesterday to the Pentagon. Watch here.
Representative Jeff Van Drew, who is a Republican from New Jersey, was just on the air saying that Iran launched a mothership probably about a month ago that contains these drones.
There is not any truth to that. There is no Iranian ship off the coast of the United States, and there's no so-called mothership launching drones towards the United States.
So what were you talking about then, Congressman?
These drones very well could be launched from a ship. It could be hundreds of miles out at sea. These types of drones go much greater distances. These, again, are something that we normally don't see in the United States. So there is a real possibility. Could it be China? Absolutely. Could it be somebody else? It sure could. Here's the deal. They don't know what it is. They don't know what it's about. They haven't taken one down to analyze it. They have no idea where it comes from, but they know that it's not that. I mean, that's nonsense. They do not know what they're doing. Why don't they take one of them down, analyze it, and let us know what's really happening? I hope they know more than they're telling us, but that's disrespectful to the public and to Congress. It's about time they leveled with the truth. Hopefully they'll give us some information this afternoon. But even if they do, it's like a month too late. This reminds me of the spy balloon. Last year, traveled the whole country, obtained all the information it wanted as it was just about to exit. Then finally, the president ordered to be shot down. This is weakness and stupidity, and it's intolerable.
There was a briefing yesterday for local lawmakers in New Jersey. They came out of that meeting and said they got zero. And you have Governor Phil Murphy, the governor of New Jersey, the state from which you represent, and he said, rest assured, there's no problem for the public. There's no danger here. But how can he be sure of that?
He can't be sure of it. It's like somebody that goes to the doctor and has a severe chest pain and it's horrible. They can't even stand up. And the doctor says, well, I don't know what you have, but you're just fine. Don't worry about it. I mean, they don't know anything. They have no information. How incredible is that when they have $1 trillion budget, supposedly all these experts? And I thought, quite frankly, that it was amateur hour at that press conference that the Pentagon had. No answers, no focus, no ideas. Of course people are concerned. So at the very least, what I've done is passed forward a very credible possibility that came from credible experts. These are real people that didn't want to reveal their names because they didn't want to lose their position, who have high security clearance. It's the real deal. I deal with these people. I'm on the aviation subcommittee. I'm the vice chairman of transportation. This is real. I'm not saying it's definite, but it's something that needs to be explored and treated with respect.
Sir, thanks for coming back today. You're making waves, certainly, and I hope you get some answers.
Thank you for tuning in one more time. Well, you heard Congressman Vanger. He says this may be an Iranian mothership located the eastern part of the United States, and that's why they are being flown around New Jersey. Okay, so Vegas says she wants to see the OG ring the bell at the New York Stock Exchange this morning. We're going to do that right after this. Check this out. Hollywood is in shambles, guys. What is going on in Hollywood, man?
Welcome into Live Now from Fox. I'm your host, Christina Evans. We do want to continue on with some of our other top stories of the day. I want to put up this tweet here from the New York Post. 3 men accuse Diddy of drugging and raping them at New York City hotels. So what we do know is that 3 men are all suing anonymously. They say that the music mogul drugged and raped them between 2019 and 2022. One claims that the attack happened during a 2020 party at Combs's house in East Hampton. Combs's attorney accuses the men of lying and deny that Combs sexually assaulted anyone. The 55-year-old, though, is currently facing federal racketeering and sex trafficking charges. He's being held in custody in Brooklyn. He has since pleaded not guilty. For more on this story and just to dive in to these new, again, sexual assault lawsuits, I want to bring in legal affairs journalist Megan Cuniff. Megan, thanks so much for being with us here on Live Now. We've been discussing these Diddy claims at length over the last few months. What are your thoughts of these new lawsuits?
I think it's another continuation of what we've been seeing over the last few months, and that people are really coming out of the woodworks. And of course, his attorneys are saying that these are more false claims, but we're seeing patterns develop over these allegations. I mean, these are 3 men, 3 separate incidents, but there's similarities between that and other lawsuits that we've seen. And these are also different attorneys than we've seen in the past. This is not Tony Busby, who's gotten so much attention for filing so many lawsuits against Diddy. These are other lawyers representing these men.
And I'm glad you mentioned that, again, these are very nuanced things where we're seeing the same thing over and over. In fact, in 3 of these claims, they all say that they were at a party with Puffy and his crew, and then they claim they went to hotels, and one of them actually claimed that they was raped there at his residence in the Hamptons. When you're seeing, again, the similarities between these cases, does that make it a lot more difficult for Puffy's legal team at this point to devise a way to say that none of this is true?
Perhaps, but I think the emphasis right now really is on the criminal case, because it is going to be so easy for them to get these cases stayed pending the outcome of his criminal case. That what's noticeable that they have not actually, Diddy does not have representation in the recent lawsuits that have been filed, because his attorneys are obviously focused on the criminal case. So I'm not sure how much focus from his team we're really going to see on these civil cases until we get some kind of resolution to his criminal cases.
Certainly something, of course, we know that with the criminal case, it's a lot more serious. I also want to put up this tweet that you put out a bit earlier today. This is also an update that we have in his case. We do know that he will have access to a laptop. Can you break down what the significance is of Diddy now being able to go over some of that discovery in his case?
Yes, and we've seen these requests before in federal cases involving the Metropolitan Detention Center. Judges have had to order their various defendants be given access to laptops. And there was a dispute between his attorneys and NBC about where exactly he could access a laptop and for how long. So this is the judge saying that from 8 a.m. to 3:30 p.m., 7 days a week, he's to have access to this to go over case discovery and nothing else. He's not supposed to do note taking, that kind of thing, but the computer will be equipped for him to review discovery in his own case.
And Megan, I want to ask you, of course, we know that a big part of this case is that Diddy was actually accused of witness tampering from behind bars. Is that maybe why it took the lawyers a bit longer to be able to get him access to a laptop so he can go over the discovery in this case?
We haven't seen indications of that, because it would be standard for him to have some kind of access to that. It seems like it was just problems within the MDC and communication about what was allowed and what wasn't.
And I do want to continue on. Of course, you just mentioned his name a bit earlier, Tony Busby. He is one of the lawyers that's filing, again, massive civil case against Diddy at this point for sexual assault in different cases. And now Jay-Z's been brought into these lawsuits as well. What are your thoughts on that? Because he was recently revealed to be the second celebrity who was in the room there as in the sexual assault of a teenager. Again, this is one of those lawsuits from Tony Busby.
Yes, and Jay-Z is denying these allegations pretty vehemently. He issued a pretty strong statement Sunday night when these came out, and then his lawyers have been filing some pretty strongly worded statements in court saying that this is a sham, this is a shakedown. And it turns out actually a couple weeks before this lawsuit was filed, back on November 18th here in Los Angeles, Jay-Z's team sued Tony Busby under a John Doe name, accusing him of extortion, saying that he'd been threatening to publicize wildly false allegations against a really famous celebrity who we now know is Jay-Z. So his team has been working on this for quite a while. And right now, the current step in federal court is whether the plaintiff, is going to have to identify herself.
This right here is just doesn't sit right with me, guys. Doesn't sit right with me. What do you guys think? Do you think Hove was involved? Because she just refiled her claim and then involved Hove. So it's like, of course, they will say guilty by association, and birds of the same feathers flock together. Is that what you think this is with Hove? A lot of people are coming out with their stories about Jay and Diddy and even Beyonce. So it's like, what is going on here? But benefit of the doubt, not guilty until you're proven guilty.
And we've seen previous orders in lawsuits against Diddy where the plaintiff has had to identify herself, but it's really up to the judge. And I'm wondering if all the lawsuits, all the attention, the criminal case is going to present a changed standard for some of the judges, that perhaps they'll now see that maybe there is reason for the plaintiff to remain anonymous. But right now, that's the biggest question right now for the judge in Jay-Z's case, is whether she's going to agree that the plaintiff needs to be publicly identified.
Do you think that we're going to see other celebrity names dropped here over the next few months leading up to this trial connected to Diddy? Of course, he's known for having these lavish parties, but that so many folks in Hollywood attended.
What's interesting is there is an unnamed celebrity in the complaint right now. That when the complaint was originally filed in October, it was 2 unnamed celebrities. And then when it was amended on Sunday night, they named Jay-Z. But there is still an unnamed female celebrity who allegedly witnessed this attack. And seems like either way, whoever that person is would be a good witness for either side, depending on what she says she actually saw. So everyone's anticipating some kind of identification of her eventually. But again, the case is a little complicated, because the idea that it's going to go to trial when Diddy has his own criminal case pending, him being a co-defendant in that, he has every reason to want to stay.
Now, you know, when everything goes to SHIT, if a lawsuit is being brought against Beyonce, and that's it. That's the end of the whole story, because, hey, man, what is going on here?
The case. Jay-Z, of course, doesn't, because he doesn't have a criminal case pending, but there could be some interesting issues arising from that.
Certainly going to be interesting and something to watch. Megan, do you think, what's next for Diddy at this point? We do know, like you said, he's going to be going to trial at the top of next year. What is him and his legal team now focusing on these next few months?
Right now, they're really focused on the search of his jail cell and the notes that were taken from there, which a judge is still deciding whether those are covered by attorney-client privilege. And Diddy's lawyers have filed some pretty aggressive filings asking for an evidentiary hearing and basically alleging that the government has been spying on him and really conflicting with his ability to prepare for trial. There's some, it's a pretty extensive filing, and they're asking for an evidentiary hearing that could lead to the dismissal of the indictment. I think that's unlikely, but it just shows how aggressive his counsel is being with everything. And it also shows just the complicatedness of the attorney-client privilege issues regarding his jail notes and kind of some of the unknowns right now that the judge is sorting through.
Certainly something we're going to continue to.
My thing is, why do you have so much success, so much financial success, so much notoriety, and still decide to do some BS like this? I don't know. Okay, I don't know. But if you've gotten to a level in life where you're financially stable, great, thriving up, your life is Gucci. Life's Gucci, basically. It's like, why do I need to do all of this stuff I don't have to do? I don't know, man. Just don't know. Okay, shout out to Vegas. Vegas, here goes what you asked for. Let's get it.
Morning, everybody.
All right, here we go.
Let's listen in.
Well, thank you very much. This is an honor, a tremendous honor. I brought some of our compatriots along with us. They're going to do a beautiful job for you for the next 4 years. And it's really been something very special. And I have to say, Time Magazine getting this honor for the second time. I think I like it better this time, actually. But we did a good job. We had a great first term, despite a lot of turmoil caused unnecessarily. But the media's tamed down a little bit. They're liking us much better now, I think. If they don't, we'll have to just take them on again, and we don't want to do that. But I do want to thank Time Magazine. I've been on the cover many times. I don't know who has the record, but I can only probably talk well about 25% of the covers. 25% are great. The others I just sort of hide. But it's been an honor, and every time it's an honor, I will tell you. And thank you very much for doing it. And thank the whole group at Time. Really very professional people. Thank you very much. And to Jeff and all of the people from the New York Stock Exchange. He knows how much I like it because many years ago I bought a building across the street. I wasn't going to buy it. Then I said, you know, it's right next to the New York Stock Exchange. I'm going to buy it. We've had great success. 40 Wall Street, we've had tremendous success with it. But you've really had success with the New York Stock Exchange. It's an incredible group of people. And Jeff, you have done an incredible job, you and your group. And what a beautiful speech you made. Thank you very much. I was some introduction of all of us. But we've gone up since the election. I was just told by Scott, everybody said, you have to pick Scott Bessent. He has to be the one chosen for Treasury. Where is Scott? Let's see. He's around here someplace. He's around here. He told me we picked up $3 trillion since the election day. And I said, well, that's good, but what about before the election day? He said, we picked up some money there because they thought you were going to win. I said, I like this guy. He's going to be my Treasury Secretary. But it's true. I think we're going to have a tremendous run. We have to straighten out some problems, some big problems in the world. When we left, we didn't have any of these problems. We didn't have Russia with Ukraine. We didn't have Israel October 7th. We didn't have the Afghanistan disaster. We didn't have inflation. We had no inflation. And we had a very strong economy. And we're going to do that again. But I think we're going to even up it because now we have experience that we didn't have. Now I know everybody. You know, when I first came in, we came down, Melania and I, a great first lady, who's very popular, by the way. She rang in. She rang in the bell. She rang in the bell. But we came down and we're driving down Pennsylvania Avenue, and it was so beautiful. I said, you know, I've never done this before. I didn't know anybody. I got to the Oval Office, and I'm picking all these big positions, and I didn't really know the people in Washington, but boy, did I get to learn fast. And now we do, and I think we have an incredible staff behind me and others that aren't here. And we're going to do a fantastic job. We're going to create the incentive theory again. In fact, I just announced yesterday, I didn't announce it for this reason, but anybody investing $1 billion or more gets a very expedited approval process because, you know, the approvals, when people come into the country, it takes them, in many cases, 14, 15, 16 years to get the approval. We have Lee is around here someplace. He's in charge of the environment, and that's Lee Zeldin, who ran an incredible race for governor in New York, was a very, very successful guy before that. He was a great congressman, and he's a fantastic lawyer. He's in charge of environmental, and we'll try and push him as much as possible to get those permits very quickly. Like a nuclear power plant, I would say a week would be enough time. What do you think? Is that okay? We're going to get fast approvals, and it's great that we have Lee and all of the people behind. They're all stars in their own way. But it is an honor, and this is a double because usually they don't coordinate the Man of the Year or the Person of the Year with the ringing of the bell. And brilliantly, you picked them both at the same time, and you were all friends, and you said, let's do it. And it takes one trip. It doesn't take two trips. That's okay. We like to save. We like to be able to do it properly. But this is a special group. So many friends in the audience, too. John, great job you've done at ABC. I'm really proud of you, and you've been so nice to me. Otherwise, I wouldn't actually acknowledge you at all. But you have been, that really is, it's a terrific job you've done. But again, I want to thank you. We're going down to ring the bell now, and I could just say that the economy, I believe, is going to be very strong. We do have to solve some problems. We have wars going on that we didn't have. We have a lot of things happening that we didn't have that would have never happened. They would have never happened, but now they have happened. And I want to get them solved. We have to get them solved because ultimately the power of weaponry today is the biggest threat we have, in my opinion. It's not some of the other things that you read about. It's the power of weaponry. The weapons are so powerful, so devastating. And I rebuilt our military. I got to know every one of them, including nuclear weapons. I hated to do it. Actually, I hated to do it. But we did some nuclear weapons that are so devastating and almost makes you very sad as you get them and as they come online. It makes you very sad because you know what the purpose of them is, and you just hope to God that you never have to use them. Because if you do, the world will never be the same. So we have to be very, very smart. We have to be very sharp. We have to be very special to do a job. And I think we'll get it done. And I think we're going to get a lot of people in the room. We've seen it. We were in France where President Macron did a fantastic job with the cathedral, an absolutely fantastic job of Notre Dame. And it was beautiful. The opening was the opening, and I just got back, and it was something really beautiful. And a lot of world leaders there. We had about 80 world leaders, different countries, and they were all coming together. They all wanted to meet us and meet me as representative of the U.S., and there was a lot of goodwill. But we're going to get some really tremendous goodwill. I was even thinking about inviting certain people to the inauguration, and some people said, wow, that's a little risky, isn't it? And I said, maybe it is. We'll see. We'll see what happens. But we like to take little chances, but that's not a bad chance. Here's a gentleman that's going to do a great job at HUD. Good luck, my friend, right? He's going to be a he's been my friend for a long time. It's nice to see you. I haven't shaken his hand yet. Come on. Congratulations. Thanks. Really, you're going to be great. And Ben Carson is your biggest fan in the world. You know that. Ben has been with us for a long time and has done a fantastic job. Thank you. Good. So, ladies and gentlemen, go on. We're going to put it straight. We're going to give tremendous incentive like no other country has. We're cutting your taxes. We're going to cut them very substantially. We got them down to 21% from probably 42 or 44%, depending on where you are. And we got them down to 21. Everyone said that was a miracle. Now we're getting them down to 15, but only if you make your product here. Otherwise, you pay 21, which is not bad. It's in the middle of the pack, but 15 brings you down to among the lowest. And for those that are running the big companies, those great, big, beautiful companies, nobody's going to be leaving us. You're going to be coming back. You're going to be bringing it back to the United States. We are incentivizing everybody to come back to the United States. We want you back here.
Thanks.
Car manufacturers, everybody. And we have one product that nobody has really to the extent that we do. It's called oil and gas. There is no country in the world that has more. We're number one. I brought it to number one during my first term in terms of production. We're going to be number one plus. We'll do numbers that...
Number one plus, guys. This guy, one thing I know is he makes you so comfortable that you just are in awe of the fact that this is your commander-in-chief. When a man like this speaks, and he happens to be the commander-in-chief, you can tell this man is competent, okay? He knows what he's doing. He's smart, okay? He's smart. And the people who have spoken, 76 million plus population voted for him. He won all swing states. That's something. And now, guess what? He invited Xi Jinping to his inauguration. That has never, ever, ever happened, ever. The United States president inviting Chinese president to his inauguration. And in my opinion, that's just a master plan. That is the masterful plan. It's called the art of the deal. Promise you guys, because China has been like hard-headed with the United States. But now if Xi Jinping actually comes to his inauguration, that's the end. That's the end of any conversation. This man just makes the people that you guys are scared of, the people that you guys say, oh, but man, look, nobody needs to play with these guys. Just like Putin, okay? Biden was like, I'm not going to have a conversation with Putin. This man wants to have a conversation with Xi Jinping. He wants to have a conversation with Putin. He wants to have a conversation with Kim Jong-un. Like the leaders that the world are scared of. He is calling them, having conversation with them, being a diplomat. Because he knows as a leader of the free world, as a leader of the most powerful nation in the world, he has to be a diplomat. Nobody wants war, guys. Nobody wants to fund war because there are countries these guys want to take over. China is talking about going to Taiwan. Russia is already in Ukraine. Kim Jong-un might be going to South Korea or the Middle East. I mean, who knows? But he's trying to have a conversation with them because his theme is peace through strength. And I got to respect that.
Nobody will really see before. And when that happens, prices are going to start coming down because people can't afford their groceries, and they're going to be affording their groceries very soon. I tell the story about a woman who, an old woman, no money, went to a grocery store, had 3 apples. She put them down on the counter, and she looked, and she saw the price, and she said, "Would you excuse me?" And she walked one of the apples back to the refrigerator and came back to pay for the 2 apples. And she left with 2 apples. And the woman at the counter said that was so sad. And when I heard about the story, I said that should never happen in America. And it's not going to happen in America. We're going to do it right. And we're going to take care of our people. And we're going to do things that nobody ever thought even were possible. But we're going to have an economy the likes of which nobody's ever seen before, and everybody's coming back to America. I saw that the other day at the cathedral. They're all saying, we want to come back, we want to come back. And with a couple of changes done by Howard and Scott and some of the great people up here with me, we're going to bring them all back. They're all coming back. So thank you very much. This is a great honor, and ringing the bell will be fantastic. And go out and get them. We're with you all the way. Thank you very much. Thank you.
President Trump, right before.
Go out and get him. I'm telling you, man, this man inspires me. I don't care what anybody says. This guy is a source of inspiration. He was the 45th, missed his 46th. Now he's the 47th. Means never quit, never stop going. Stay strong. Just stay strong. Hang in there. Keep fighting for what you believe in. Keep fighting for your dreams. That's all life is, okay? Keep fighting. Now, let me show you. Shout out to Ellie. Ellie said he didn't know about the Xi Jinping case. Let me show you this. He's invited Xi Jinping, Ellie. Telling you.
Hamas has conceded to Israeli troops in Gaza, raising hopes for a hostage deal. Elbridge Colby is a former Assistant Defense Secretary under Mr. Trump first time around, and he joins me now. What more can you tell us about what looks like a promising potential deal?
Well, I think it's very promising, Stuart, and it's sort of pieces breaking out all over the place since President Trump's been elected. The Biden administration was trying to make progress on, a ceasefire or peace in the Gaza situation for a year. Totally fruitlessly, and now we finally are seeing progress. Why is that? I think one is President Trump's leadership, the threat he issued that he was not going to take any more of this hostage keeping and abuse and murder of the hostages, but also what the Israelis have been able to do in turning around, taking Lebanese Hezbollah off the sort of the game board, if you will, and Iran itself, and of course the collapse of the government in Syria. So I think this is very, very promising. It really gives us an opportunity for hope that we might be able to see a more peaceful situation, albeit it's never going to be totally placid, but a more peaceful situation in the Middle East since President Trump's been elected.
President-elect Trump was asked about inviting China's Xi Jinping to his inauguration. Listen to this.
Mr. President, for the pool, who else have you had the opportunity to invite to your inauguration?
Everybody I've invited.
President Xi as well?
Very good relationship. Thank you.
What's your message to...
Okay. We understand that Xi Jinping has been invited to the inauguration. Mr. Trump did not confirm it, but he said they had a good relationship. Why would Trump invite Xi?
Well, I think it's a masterstroke by President Trump if he's done it. I think it shows a lot of confidence. And as Winston Churchill once said, jaw is better than war. There's no reason not to open up a dialogue with Xi Jinping from a position of strength, which we know President Trump is willing to do and has run on. Remember that he invited Xi Jinping to Mar-a-Lago in his first term. And really focused on China in a tough and I think realistic way in his administration. But I think the bringing Xi Jinping, putting it over to him and opening up an ability to have a discussion in a period in which, as President Trump rightly says, we may be on the verge of World War III. I think that's common sense, right? I mean, the worst possible policy is kind of what we've been doing right now, where you have President Biden, taking pot shots at President Xi, in fundraisers, and meantime weakening our military position in the Pacific because he's supporting so much in Ukraine and against the Houthis and so forth. I think President Trump offers the opposite approach, which led to peace in his first term, and hopefully in his second term, albeit the situation's far more dangerous now that Joe Biden's left than what existed in 2021 that President Trump handed over to President Biden.
I'm going to change the subject to those drones. I do apologize for this, Elbridge, because it might not be worthy of your attention, but it's what everybody's talking about. The Pentagon has denied reports that Iran might be launching these drones over New Jersey from a mothership off the East Coast. Just listen to what Congressman Mike Lawler said about it earlier this morning.
Certainly there are concerns, and I think obviously we should take any threat seriously. Obviously with the advancements in technology, drone technology, this has become more prevalent. It does not always mean there's a nefarious purpose behind it, but obviously we should get to the bottom of it and find out exactly what happened.
Okay, Elbridge, let's get into this. Somebody somewhere knows what those drones are doing, and that person is not saying anything. Do you think the government is covering something up?
Well, I hope not. First of all, I'm not so high and mighty, Stuart, so you could ask me about anything. And secondly, I'd say if there are drones that are flying over our homeland, that shit's got to be a priority for anybody who cares about our security. So this is a very serious issue. We need to put, as President Trump has indicated, we need to put defense and the security of the homeland back in a kind of America First way, back at the top of the agenda. I don't know what's going on. I think the answers provided by the administration so far have been very unsatisfactory. I mean, the fact that we don't have a clear answer is very disturbing, and I think that's something that shows we really need to get to the bottom of this.
Yes, we do. Elbridge, you know what you're talking about, and we always appreciate that. Come back and see us again real soon, please.
My pleasure, Stuart. Thanks a lot.
All right. Thank you for tuning into the live show. You guys are the best. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. Double tap your screen, subscribe to the channel. Yeah, we've seen the drones issue in New Jersey, and according to Van Drew, the congressman, he's from New Jersey, by the way. He's a congressman from New Jersey. He's saying that these drones are being deployed by Iranian mothership that is stationed on the eastern part of the United States. That's what he's saying. And that's just wild. If truly there is an Iranian mothership that is being stationed at the eastern part of the United States, and they're just deploying drones from the mothership into New Jersey, that is just wild. That is absolutely wild and definitely unacceptable. And that's what the people are saying. The people are like, yo, this is definitely unacceptable. We cannot accept this. We're going to shoot this down. But, of course, it's like, well, you have nothing to worry about. You have absolutely nothing to worry about. Yes, we do. But it is what it is. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for tuning into the live stream. Thank you for tuning into the live show. God bless you. You guys are the best. All right. What else? I want to end this show with the high notes. What should we do, AOC? Here comes. This may be your next presidential nominee by the Democratic Party. Here we go. Check this out. This may be your next presidential nominee by the Democratic Party. You guys just be careful. I'm telling you. Maybe.
From a diagnosis. And I think that this collective American experience, which is so twisted to have in the wealthiest nation in the world, all of that pain that people have experienced is being concentrated on this event. And it's really important that we take a step back. This is not to comment, and this is not to say that an act of violence is justified. But I think for anyone who is confused or shocked or appalled, they need to understand that people interpret and feel and experience denied claims as an act of violence against them. People go homeless over the financial devastation of a diagnosis that doesn't get addressed, or, you know, the amount that they're going to have to cover with a surprise bill and things like that. And when we kind of talk about how systems are violent in this country.
Okay, so yeah, AOC. Bye. All right, this is a very disturbing news that I gotta show you guys. This is concerning the CEO, and these sign was actually cited at Seattle Highway. This is a Seattle Highway, calling on residents to literally execute CEOs. What is this? Check it out.
Dexter Avenue in the northbound lanes of
This
the
is
highway
wild,
there.
guys.
It reads one less CEO, many more to go. We don't know who's responsible
This is
for this
stupid,
message, which agency operates the sign, whether it's WashDOT, SDOT, or a private company, and how this could have happened. So we're certainly going to let you know what we find out when we get some answers. It appears that message was up for at least an hour overnight. Seattle overnight. So look at the message here that our photographer found near Dexter Avenue in the northbound lanes of the highway there. It reads one less CEO, many more to go. We don't know who's responsible for this message, which agency operates the sign, whether it's WashDOT, SDOT, or a private company, and how this could have happened. So we're certainly going to let you know what we find out when we get some answers. It appears that message was up for at least an hour overnight. Seattle overnight. So look at the message here that our photographer found near Dexter Avenue in the northbound lanes of the highway there. It reads one less.
That is wild, everybody. What the freak is going on? 2024, guys. This is just on another level. Brookton, you think it's false? You think it's a scam? You think it's not true? That's a national news, guy. All right, check this out. It appears that Biden may be selling the gates, the wall, according to Daily Wire. Check this out, man. They're saying he may be selling the wall, according to Daily Wire. Oh yeah, this is messed up. So wait, is it like, are they gonna sell all of this or what? This is supposed to be for the border. Really, man. This is way too wild. Way too wild. All right, look, too many BS flying around, but let's see. Here goes Kamala Harris. Says Kamala Harris is 100% not sober. This is too wild, bro.
Bring your own dish. You know what I'm saying? I'm all about no regrets. And I give you permission
She needs to do a stand-up comedy show on Netflix. She's going to sell out. Just imagine Kamala stand-up show with her like with her face laughing and stuff. She's gonna sell out. That's a way for her to like raise a lot of money if she's ever gonna run for probably the governor of California or something in California because Californians would definitely vote for her. You know what I mean? But if she does do a comedy special on Netflix, she's going to trend up to the people who watch Netflix. So yeah, Kamala Harris is definitely going to be. I mean, 74 million people voted for Kamala Harris. So if she does a special on Netflix, but it has to be comedy though, when like she has to be laughing like this and speaking like this. You know what I mean? She's gonna pop. She's gonna pop. I ain't gonna cap. She's probably gonna be popular like Kevin Hart and all them. But look, that's it. I'm gonna let Kamala do her thing. And man, Hollywood with Hove and Diddy and the Carter family. It's sad to see that, you know, the brown skin community, they look at these people as or like legend or icons, and now it's like they're being taken down or they did something stupid they shouldn't have been doing, and now they're going down. So it's just sad to see. So it's like, who are the heroes in Hollywood? Can you guys mention like 2, 3, 4 heroes? Because I mean, who is left? There's nobody left. All right. With that being said, thank you for tuning into the live stream. You know what time it is. It is your boy Genesis. Genesis, that's a roundabout insult. What do you mean? Like me saying Kamala should do a comedy show? It's not. I'm helping her get some money. I'm telling you, that's gonna help. It's gonna really help her if she runs for, or when she does run for the governor of California. Anyway, instead of looking for perfection, seek for consistency. Never give up on yourself. Never give up on your dreams. Never give up on God. Believe in yourself. Believe in your dreams. Believe in God. God bless you guys for tuning in. You guys are the best. God bless you. God bless you. God bless you. Never give up on yourself, regardless of what you're going through. Stay strong. Stay strong. Stay strong. Okay. Fight, fight, fight. Just like the 45th, now the 47th. Okay. Stay strong, man. Regardless, stay strong. It's just a matter of time. You may be working 2, 3 jobs now to pay your bills. You may be living paycheck to paycheck. You may be back on your credit card bills. You haven't paid for 2, 3, 4, 5 months. Stay strong. It's just a matter of time. Okay. Help is on the way. And guess what? You are going to shine. Your shine time is coming. Just relax. Okay. Keep working. Keep believing. Keep moving forward. Never stop working though. Just stay strong. Okay. God is with you. I believe in you. I love you. And thank you guys so much, man. It is your boy Genesis. And I am signing out of the premises.